told some of my patrons that I would do a live to catch you guys up on some of the crazy things that are going on. So I thought this is a great time while I'm sitting here at base camp working on a few things to do that. Now, with that said, I'm kind of doing a lot of stuff, so this could go really interestingly. I'm preparing to hit the road in a couple days, and as I do that, I'm trying to charge all of my power stations, all of my batteries. I have some other things that are charging that are special for the trip, and oh my goodness, it's been a little nuts around here. Hi, Bart! I am going to send you a text message probably tomorrow with some information for you. I think you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I just wanted to open up this live and say hello. I'm sorry it's been a bit since I did a physical live where I talked to you guys. Life has been pretty crazy. So I thought today was a good day since I'm not like overly busy. With the exception of all the planning of getting ready to go. So I have about an hour to sit down and chat with you guys. Hello, everyone! I'm seeing Southern Illinois is in the house. Doofus Adventures, hello, Katie. Old enough to know, hi! I love the little hand emoji that they have now given us in chat. It is way cuter than the old one that they had. So, hey guys, I'm glad that you guys are coming in and checking everything out. For those of you who are coming in, yes, I'm at my base camp. I am a little bit behind on my videos for safety purposes, and so by the time that you see me taking off on my trip, I will already be on to another part of a different trip, which is kind of interesting. So I'm really excited to share all those things. I do have some cool things that I'm going to tell you that are coming up, so you kind of have an idea as to some future videos that are coming out, just in case you're kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And then also I have a few things that I'm doing currently that I will not tell you all the details, but it's really cool. You'll see very soon though. Let's see. Oh, the sunglasses emoji. I do love that. I actually have been kind of in a little bit of a moment where I haven't purchased more sunglasses because I got 2 new pairs from Temu like a couple months ago, and I've really been loving those. But I've been trying to not buy as many sunglasses because my collection is quite large at this point. So until I get a better storage thing for them at my base camp, well, I don't want to do more. I want to be able to display them where I can see them. I think that'd be super fun. But for the time being, I've just been kind of like grabbing a few pairs and then hitting the road, and then grabbing a few different pairs and hitting the road. Hello, shiny nickel blades. I'm going to have to drink some water though. It's been warm here today. So for those of you who are not familiar with the weirdness in Texas all summer, we basically lived under a heat dome, and it was not fun. And I was here, and so I sweltered in the heat, burning up, and it was bad. And then finally it felt like fall had gotten here, and it was like cooler and nice, and you could walk outside and not feel like death. And then that too shall pass, and now it's been hot again today, and I don't understand it. And apparently it's going to be kind of warm for a couple more days. I'm hoping that it does start to cool off again though. And if you guys see me swatting at something, there's a fly. It's a very elusive fly. I do not fare well with flies. Let's see. I'm kind of doing this from my phone because for some reason my camera on my computer was not picking up. So just bear with me as I kind of go through. I'm going to try to, while we're sitting here, I'm going to try to mute my computer so that I don't have a weird sound, but I'm also going to try to pull up the chat so I can see what you guys are saying a little bit better. So if you see me kind of peering off into the distance, it's not that I'm not interested, it's that I want to see what you guys are saying a little bit better. So give me a second, I'm going to move you just a little bit. Woohoo! And here we go. Okay, I should be able to see you guys pretty soon. There you are. Okay, cool. And it looks like it's in real time, so that's even better. Where am I now? I'm at my base camp currently in Texas. I am preparing to take off in a couple days to hit the road and go off to the next adventure. I needed to do a couple modifications to my van after I came back, and I needed to get some new tires, so I've been handling that. And you'll see all of the updates on everything. It has been a bit of a stressful, wild ride. But I'm going to show you some other cool things first. I did take a couple days just to not do anything so that I wouldn't be overwhelmed. And then I did a little trip with my dad. So you'll be seeing some of that. But yeah, really cool stuff. Courtside. I'm not sure yet. That's kind of the thing. We are in the process of doing a few very exciting plans that I'm so excited about, but that might mean I don't end up in courtside. And if that's the case, then I will have to catch everyone else at a different time. But this is something that I've kind of been planning for a while, and it got derailed by my accident. So since that happened, I'm trying to play catch up for all the things that I was supposed to do that I haven't been able to, and I do have a few obligations also that might pull me away. So I'm not sure. It's still kind of up in the air though, so I'll let you guys know closer to time. And I do have some very interesting collabs coming up with some people that you guys have been asking where are they at. So that'll be kind of fun also. Now, in way of things that are coming out that are changes that I've made to the van, a lot of people really like the new layout, and I agree. I really like the new layout. There are a few things within any layout whenever you start it. Oh, there's the fly. Whoa. No. There are a few things anytime that you change something that you will look at and be like, I still want to change this. And so I've been kind of putting some thought into those kinds of things. And so you'll kind of see what's going on with that as I start to roll out those videos and kind of go through the process of trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure it out realistically. There's a few things I'll still be changing even after I get back from this trip that I already know in advance I'm going to be changing. I'm just trying to really just not do it until I have time to sit. And of course, as many of you guys know, I usually am here in Texas during the month of December. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. You did not have to do that. And I do not have access to features because I'm on my phone. So I'm just going to do what I used to do. We're going to do the little fireworks. These are the hand fireworks. Thank you so much. Thank you. But what I was saying is there are some things that during the month of December, whenever I usually am here because I celebrate with my family for Christmas and the holidays, I will be making a couple of adjustments that are going to require a little bit more time than I currently have before I hit the road. So nothing bad, all good, super excited, and the layout itself will be the same because I really like the trifold. The amount of cushion that it has is so similar to my static bed, and I still can't use my static bed because obviously I can't open up the back doors frequently. This fly is going to drive us all nuts. I'm sorry. But the back doors are still kind of an issue where it's hit or miss on if they're going to close correctly, and so unless I'm here at base camp or have to open them, I try not to. Of course, on my Colorado trip, I had to open it a couple times, and every time when I tell you, it was like, oh no, are they going to close correctly? Or, oh no, please don't break. It was bad. So I just try real hard not to. And that's kind of what it is. It's just the reality of what my life looks like until parts are available. And, well, I'm not the only one out there looking for parts right now. It's actually pretty bad, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So I'm just fortunate that my van does physically move, and it's a minor inconvenience in comparison. Hang on, guys. I'm literally charging a power station that has a cord that's running under me, and it's getting warm, and I feel like I should probably unplug it. Yeah, probably. I'll just wait until the others are finished. I have a tower of power going on over here, and it's nuts. Speaking of power, though, I will be okay, so I have a video that will be coming out kind of out of order. And you'll understand why whenever you see the video, but I'm reviewing a different power station from a company that we have reviewed a power station from before. And they listened to the feedback from myself and other creators and asked me if I would mind reviewing this one because they think it would be better for van life. Does that make sense? Do you remember that video? So it is a power station that I think will work better, but I took it on the road with my dad, and I have it featured in a couple of videos, but I'm going to do a full unboxing after that so you can really see all the features. I did the unboxing and actually filmed it before I went with my dad, but my life has just been so chaotic that I wasn't able to get the videos to line up correctly on the timeline of how they need to line up correctly. Does that make sense? So I'm going to have an unboxing of that, and I think it will address a lot of the things that both I have said and that you all had mentioned in my comments. So I'm very excited. I'm still testing it out though, so I'm going to take it on one more trip and really put it through the ringer to find out what happens. So far, I think it's going to be good. I'm not sure though. I don't want to speak out of turn, and when you see the unboxing, don't be like, yes, she said yes, because I will be doing a follow-up video within a couple weeks of the unboxing video probably, I think that's kind of the timeline of my life right now. It's been chaos. I'm also getting ready to do a really intense project. Whoa, there went the fly again. I'm really trying to do an intense project on my tiny home channel, and that will be in the month of December, and it's something that it's gonna be fun, guys. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun for me. Even if no one likes it, I don't care. It's fun for me to share the weirdness of my life whenever I'm preparing for the holidays. Now, for those of you who don't know, my family, we love Christmas. Like, love, love, love Christmas. All aspects of Christmas. Getting to be around family, getting to decorate, getting to do acts of service, twinkle lights. Need I say more? So in the month of December on my tiny home channel, which is my tiny Texas living channel, you're going to see a lot of Christmas. Don't feel obligated to watch all of it. However, if you do love Christmas, this will really perk up your spirits and show you kind of the behind the scenes of my actual chaos. And I've done something similar to this before, but not quite like this. So I think that everyone will truly get a glimpse into the level of dedication that I have to this holiday. We'll just put it this way. I'm starting now for then, if that makes sense. But in order to do that, I've had to really think ahead in way of my actual channel as well, because I do have so many uploads. So I'm trying to make sure that I have enough of a buffer in between when I need to do things and when I need to edit things, so I don't feel like I'm spiraling. Let's see, I'm going to catch up on a few comments real quickly. Oh, thank you so much. Best laugh on YouTube. Thanks. That's just my genuine joy. It comes out and it sounds like whatever that is. Let's see. How's the weather in Texas? It was pretty warm today. It's kind of cloudy. I'm hoping that it'll cool off. I don't know. I really, really do need it to cool off though, because I cannot. It's gotten to the point now where it's just like a stuffy heat outside. It's not even like a disrespectful heat. So when you walk outside, your sinuses are just like, ugh. And that's it. And going from the cool weather to the warm weather to the cool weather to the warm weather, it's really playing with my allergies a bit. So I wake up every morning feeling like I'm drowning in my face. And by noon, after I've had some coffee, I feel less like I'm drowning. So that's good. Sheila asked, how are the kittens? They are good. I did have a kind of unfortunate thing happen. For those who have no idea what the cat situation is, on my tiny home channel, I've shared a very brief portion of my life with some feral cats. Basically, long story short, there are some cats who live here, and I can't really do anything with them. Can't catch them. They don't trust anybody. They don't really let you pick them up. There were a couple that had kind of gotten tolerant of me, but basically they show up and say, hey, where's our food? So I just embraced it thinking, oh, if I be friends with them, eventually maybe I'll be able to catch them and get the females fixed or find them homes. That would be great. You can't isolate them from the herd though and just like pick them off by trapping them, because what happens is then they all distrust you and then you don't see them. So it's hard. Anyway, so there's several of them, and there was one that I had in particular. I would say that out of all of them, he was the closest to a pet because I could pick him up. He actually passed away. It was really sad. We lived by a road, and I don't know if he got scared and ran out into the road or if he was just tomcatting around, but he did end up getting hit by a car. And it was super sad because as much as they are not my pets, I'm also attached to them a lot. And so it was super sad. And so it's just one of those things that I'm trying to, again, I try to detach from them because they're not my pets, because I can't do pet things with them. But it's still sad anytime that you see suffering of any kind. And as you guys have probably figured out on the channel by the fact that I talk to the birds and the squirrels and I don't want to kill bugs, I really care about animals in general, and it pains me more whenever something happens to them. So I've been taking care of them in a way that they have shelter and food and water, just so that they could survive during the heat. So that was kind of a sad blow, that the one that I could actually interact with was the one. And so it's been really sad. But again, I'm trying to find the positive in everything, and it's going to be okay. It really is. At the end of the day, not everything is going to work out how we would like it to. And so I could be sad, or I can say that, well, I don't think he suffered, so that's good. But yeah, let's see other comments. Does my dad still have his Schnauzer? It's actually my Schnauzer. He just lives with my parents. A long time ago, before I started my channel, I moved into a apartment where I could not have my dog there, and so he came to live with them. And then he liked them better than me, and so he lives with them, and then he'll come and visit me during the days, and I'll take care of him, or whenever we go on a trip or something, we'll all go. But technically, he is my Schnauzer. He just likes them better, which is sad. Let's see. Hot stuff in Arizona. I saw that there was another heat wave that came through there. That just, wow. It just seems not okay. The weather is just wild, and I feel like the more that I watch the news and their predictions of what's coming this winter season, I'm just so confused, because there's some people who are like, oh, it's going to be mild, and then there's some people who are going to be like, death, cold, and I'm like, oh no, like, there's no in between. Like, I just want temperate. Can I have temperate, please? Yes, I do remember your Schnauzer. So cute. Let's see. What else do we have here? Kind of scrolling. Oh no. Okay, let's see. Colorado videos were awesome. I have like one more, I think, coming out. There might be two. One of them I know is like me leaving Colorado, but I have one more where I'm trying to go from what I encountered in Colorado to the next location, and you'll see that one tomorrow, and you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about when I say I encountered it. It's one of my happy places. I love going there. It's one of my favorite places to just go, especially when the weather is just gross and hot, because it just is like a whole different world whenever you're at high altitude. And yeah, it is a little bit harder on my lungs and stuff like that, but at the same time, I adapt, I adjust, and I move on, and then I carry canned air. And somebody did ask me about the canned air situation on today's video, and the canned air is actually super helpful. It looks weird that you go into stores in Colorado and they're like, here's air, oxygen in a can. And you're like, okay. And then you pick it up and it's like non-existent weight. So you're like, is there anything even in here? But I noticed that the canned air is so helpful when you're acclimating from low altitude to high altitude, because sometimes doing simple things in high altitude is a much different experience than doing simple things in low altitude. For example, you know how you bend over to tie your shoes? You don't think anything about it because that's just a normal thing that you do. But when you are in high altitude, the act of putting your head down low and then bringing it back up is like, whoa, sometimes. And also, hiking. You can take a mile flat walk here at this lake level, which is Texas, which is basically non-existent altitude. And then you can take the same exact flat walk in Colorado in the high altitude areas, and it's like, so the canned air comes in handy for that. It really does. But it's very inexpensive. I always suggest, if you are going to an area and you don't feel comfortable in high altitude, or you get altitude sickness, to pick a couple of those up, and then also slowly bring yourself upward. Usually I just kind of take a couple days and I'm like, oh, here I am at 6,000 feet. Here I am at 8,000 feet. Here I am at 10,000 feet. And my body is typically okay. I still sound weird because I'm like, but that's just me in general now because I have weird lungs. So it is what it is. I don't get the dizziness or the altitude sickness that makes me just like feel like I'm bedridden or anything like that. I never really have. And so it's one of those things that for me, this works. Now, if it doesn't work for you to go that quickly, take time in each one of those spaces and just slowly go up. and stop at campsites. Like find campsites at 6,000 and then 8,000 and then 10,000 and stay in those campsites for like a week if you need to. You can stay at most like free campsites for 14 days. If you need to stay in there for 14 days and then move on to the next one, even if there's a short distance separating you, a short distance of 30 minutes of driving could be a distance of 4,000 feet in altitude. And in doing that, your body is going, whoa. So just take your time if you're struggling with that. And it really can like acclimate you a lot better. And then you'll find that the next time that you go, you have a little bit less of a hard time because you took that time to let your body like adjust. So yeah, that's kind of what I would suggest in those cases. A lot of people ask me about that. A lot of people were on board with the bear safety video, so that's going to be out before Christmas. I just have to film the rest of it. I filmed part of it whenever I was in Colorado. I'm going to film the rest of it at a different place. I'm just not sure where yet. Only because I wanted to get a little bit more information before I shared the video, and I think that sometimes just getting different information from different rangers can be helpful. So I'm going to talk to a couple more rangers in a different bear area. Let's see. Also, let's see. I'm trying to think what all of our things that are coming are. I have that. I have a couple of products that I'm going to be kind of sharing with you just because I'm interested in them. They're not necessarily something that you should feel pressured ever to purchase, but I like to share what it is that I'm using and if it's working for me. That way, if it is anything that you've even thought about and you've been on the fence with, you'll kind of have some feedback from someone who is out there doing stuff and trying out things. Like, for example, the power stations. I know not everybody is going to want power stations out the ears. But the whole point of what I do is not necessarily to review a ton and then carry a ton, even though I do probably carry more power than most. It's so that I can give honest opinions, because a lot of times when you see marketing and you see price points, people will be very intrigued by a price point, and not always is that price point going to do the things that they need them to do long term. And I try to keep my reviews extremely honest. If I have something that really doesn't work out or has kind of a weird thing, I try to let you guys know and keep it kind of in real time. And also, I encourage you guys, if you do have a product and you have weird experiences, give feedback to the companies, because that's the only way that they can know to change those things. For example, you all saw my Road Pro video whenever I tried the slow cooker. I love the slow cooker, but I did have an issue, and in doing that, I talked about the issue on my video so people could see the issue, but I also immediately followed up with Road Pro, sent them pictures, asked them if they would like me to send it back so they could look at it, and they were very grateful because I had given that feedback, because it's a company that services a large portion of our nation's truckers and over-the-roaders, and so unless they know, they can't fix. So always tell people from companies through customer service or through the contact us feature. Always do that if you have any kind of problems. And most of the time, if it's a thing that they can help you with, they will jump on that to help you. Now, I have had a couple companies, and I've mentioned them again here on the channel, that their customer service was definitely lacking. That's why I mentioned it, though, because I wanted you guys to know that, hey, if this is you, you're going to have the same issue I probably did. So that also speaks volumes. Let's see. Did I ever make it out to the East Coast? No, because my van was broken, so I haven't made it out there. I have been out to the East Coast. I have a few videos in my playlist from earlier in my channel. My goal is to do more of the updates from the East Coast at some point. It's very strategic in how you have to move along the East Coast whenever, especially get into like the Northeast, because it's harder to find camping. So I do have goals. It just hasn't worked out yet. Let's see. Catching up on a few more. Oh, it's about to be summer in Australia. See, I always am curious as to what season other places are experiencing. So that's actually kind of cool. So you go through your summertime when we're in our wintertime, because you're in the southern hemisphere, which is super neat. So is your summertime like scorching hot, or is your summertime like mild where you are? Let's see. Hi, Grandma Robin. Let's see. Aloha, Bunny. Aloha. Mixed Up Adventures. Let's see. Who else is here? Oh, gee, all those products. I have an entire Wait, hang on. Oh no, it moved. It moved. It moved. See, this is the hard part about doing it 2 ways here. Oh, I think one of the power stations is finished. It got real quiet real fast. Just so you know, if you heard the humming noise, if you heard it, leave me a thumbs up if you heard it, because I don't know. It might not be picking up fully because the microphone's pointing this way and the power station's on this side. But if you heard it, thumbs up. That was the Pecron power station. The Pecron is a really great power station, but when it's charging, that internal fan is a little bit louder, that's for sure. Normally, I don't hear it because I'm going down the road, but it's a little louder. Let's see. Okay, I need low wattage fridge that's inexpensive with a freezer is a plus. So you need like a split. Set Power has some really nice low wattage fridge freezers. They have some that are larger and some that are smaller. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. Set Power with the split one that I have, that my parents have, it's big. It's super big. So if you're needing something that is smaller than that, I don't know if they have one that is smaller than the massive one, but it's really good. It's super, super good. So if you have space to give, it is good, but it is a beast of space. Perth summers are a killer. Oh, that's not fun. That's not fun at all. I'm from Virginia. Weather has been nice. Oh, that must be nice. I'm so jealous. Got a Jackery 500. Nice. Jackery, of course, is my first power station. It is the very first power station I put in my van. Before that, I had no power and traveled for like 3 years without any power stations. And it made doing some things kind of difficult, but at the same time, you adapt, you adjust, you move forward. But yeah, I just went in with the 1000 because I knew my laptop would eat all the power. I gotta get a new laptop eventually, guys. That one is just killing me, Smalls. And the worst part about it is, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm one of those people who I will stalk online the thing that I need, like a computer. I will research it. I will do all the due diligence to know exactly what all the features are. And then I'll be like, yes, this is the one. And then I'll put it in my cart and I'll wait. And then I'll continue waiting. And then I don't know what it is, if I'm just trying to convince myself, oh, you really do need this. But it took me, I had a MacBook before that I had literally had the MacBook since, I want to say, 2008. And then I replaced that MacBook, I want to say in, I probably replaced it like year 1 of my travels. So I've had this laptop for 5 years now. So I had that one all of that time. They had done so many updates where basically the computer was like non-existently good anymore. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to buy it. And then now I have this laptop, which is realistically 5 years old and maybe 6. And it probably needs to be upgraded. And I'm just like, oh, I don't want to spend that money. But also, then I have to learn a new computer. And I think that's the harder part for me. Because if I truly, genuinely need something, I will justify the expense and then save up for it and then spend the money and just do it because I need it. But then learning the new stuff is like, that takes away from something else that I'm already doing. So it just becomes like this thing for me where I'm just like, I'll put it off. I don't need this right now. I literally did this like buyer stalking. I hate using that word because it's a weird word, but like basically I found something and I looked it up. I researched it. I found how much it was. I put it in the cart. I did all of those things. For the lens that I currently use on my camera that I've been using since, I've been using it about 2 years now. That lens was in my cart since before I got the camera because I was like, this is the vlogging lens I want. I had watched all the YouTube videos and I knew that was the one that I wanted, and I didn't get it for like some years still. And then whenever I got it, it was just like one of those things that I was like, wow, my life could have been so much easier this whole time if I would have just done this. Like, I had the money allocated for it and everything. That's the weird part is, like, I'd already pulled the money to the side and been like, yes, this is what it's for. And I just sat on it. So, yeah, that's me. That's what I do with literally everything. In fact, this 360 camera right here, I've had this 360 camera since I went to the GoPro games. I got it for a steal of a deal. I'd been wanting one of these for over a year. I got there and they offered me a deal that was better than any deal I had seen anywhere else, because if you want GoPros and you want to get a discount on them, get them at a GoPro event. They are so much better and you get all sorts of cool stuff to go with them. So I got this, and basically the price of the camera, I got it for a slight less than retail value, plus they threw in a very nice like waterproof bag, a stick, a card, I think there was a water bottle, like a nice water bottle too, like one of those vacuum sealed ones. So there were so many cool things, but it took me so long to get it. And even after that, I have been tinkering with this thing and thinking, I don't want the footage to all look weird, because I like Tiny World, and you guys have seen some Tiny World now that I've been posting with it, but I don't want everything to look like Tiny World. And so I just sat there and was just like, until it can look good, I'm not using it. Well, finally, I was just like, I'm going to actually do this. So in some of the upcoming videos that you see, I'll have been using this guy, finally, and we'll see if you notice that I used it, or if you think that I just used my regular camera, if anybody even notices. You know, I think that that's the crazy thing. When you do something correctly, it just looks like it's supposed to be there. It doesn't look weird. So while I will do some fun stuff on like shorts, and while I will do some fun stuff where I like throw out some strange shots, which is something that I enjoy doing anyway, I'm not going to use the Tiny World feature very much, because I think it just looks weird in the bigger picture of cinematic videos like what I do. Let's see. Couple things. You do the same thing? See, it's not just me. That makes me feel so much better if it's not critical or urgent. Yes. It's just kind of crazy, though, how bad I do it. Like, even doing my tiny channel, I've been living in my tiny home for quite a while before I actually started, like, working on my tiny home when it comes to, like, putting things up that I enjoy or that show who I am. It was just kind of like, okay, I should do this. Like, why am I not doing this? Let's see. MacBook to MacBook, pretty easy for transition. They are, except for mine is a MacBook Air, so I have a whole system that is designed around what it is that I do specifically because I got the Air. So for example, just show you guys, I have about 8 of these, and each one of them has a job. For example, this one is the one that I use only to edit. This one is the one that I use after I finished videos. I put them on this one or another one. I have one that is designed just for the projects that have not been edited, because my file sizes are huge, so I can't put them on the laptop itself except for one video at a time, or 2 videos at a time. So I have developed these coping mechanisms for the fact that I didn't just get the big memory in the first place. And so teaching myself to get out of those kinds of habits and use it differently will be like speaking a foreign language for the first time. I'm going to look real weird and crazy and probably not make any sense. And so I know the shortcuts are the same, the programming is the same, but that's another thing. I'm going to have to reload all my programming, and I really don't like doing that. That just seems like such a pain. But yeah, that's the biggest hesitation of me actually going and getting a new laptop. I will eventually, but I do the same thing with my cell phones. I'll go until the wheels fall off, or until something doesn't work on my phone to the point that it annoys me, and I'm just like, okay, fine, I'll go get a new one. Let's see. Reading through. My ears are very red because I, like, you know how whenever you get bit by like a mosquito or something and it itches, but you don't want to scratch because you don't want to leave like a scabby? That's what's happening right now. So I'm not crazy. It's just I got bit by a mosquito earlier. My light twin. You have a black NV200? Sweet! We are a dying breed out there since they have decided to discontinue us. Although I've heard some interesting talking points that they might be bringing in another smaller version of a van, so we'll see. Hello there, Jay, cat lady. Let's see, what else do we have here? I will have the money, done the research for months, but hate having to set up the programs. Yes, exactly. It's just such a pain to start. Basically, it feels like you've done all this hard work, and then you're like, oop, just kidding, starting over from scratch. But yeah, that's my thoughts too. Okay, so we're going to go at this for like 30 some odd minutes. So let me tell you a few other things that are going on. You might have noticed that last week and the week before, I put something up on my Try channel, and I just kind of linked it over on the community tab. I'm going to try to do some more Try channel stuff. I just have fun with those. Those are just silly videos where I'm trying out weird stuff. But it gave me an opportunity to post one of my collabs with Riley, and it was really fun. Riley and I have planned some cool things with some more of those kind of collabs. Kind of in the future. It's just a way for us just to not take things so seriously and just to joke and laugh and be ourselves. And then if anybody is interested in our weird dynamic, they can watch those and see a very, well, interesting version of us trying weird stuff. That channel was basically made a long time ago so that I could try out anything that I really wanted to. And then I got super, super crazy busy with this channel, and I kind of had to step away because that channel was just, at that point, I was not good at editing at all. And so at that point, I was just like, wow, I can't do 2 channels. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed. And now I'm just like, bring it on. Give me more. Oh, yeah. So that's kind of where that is. I'm going to try to put more uploads on that channel. Of course, I have the tiny channel, Nomad News. A lot of people have asked me what happened to Nomad News. It is still existing. The thing is, when the park system changed their rules for filming, they classify news people differently than they classify regular everyday individuals. But with that, you also have to have your proper credentials and also criteria that meet their expectations. And so I submitted a whole bunch of information and questions, and I got some feedback, but they are wanting to send me in writing, which I need in writing, their approval of me being able to film things in park. And based on the wording of the email that was in the correspondence with me, I don't feel comfortable covering anything to do with the parks until then. Now, could we still do other stories? Yes, we can. But with that, also, you get into some weird territory on the whole news outlet portion when it comes to, like, for example, a missing person. If they're missing near a national park, is the mere mention of a national park going to be too much? Typically, I go to the park and I speak to a ranger directly if I want to film at all. And every ranger is going to be a bit different. So these credentials actually safeguard me kind of a little bit. And I come from a news past, and so I am properly credentialed. I was a Texas Press award-winning person, and I still can be affiliated under those news umbrellas based on the things that I know from my background. So I've been working on all of that. It's just, when you get into anything that has to do with the government, it takes forever. So I'm hoping that it'll come together sooner rather than later, because we do want to use that as a resource to help other people out more. And so after we get that, it'll really set my mind at ease, and then we'll be able to move forth. And then we can use that proper paper credentialing that we've done through them to also credential other things to make sure that we don't have any issues. And so that will help a lot. So that's where we are, and it's just taking so long. It feels like this year is the year that the world was just like, hold up, you're going too fast. We're going to teach you to slow down a little bit. You want to go fast? You want to go on all these adventures? We're going to have an accident where you can't get the parts and see if you spiral out of control. Oh, you want to do the news? Just kidding. We're going to make you wait until all your stuff comes in and see how long that can take. But in the meantime, it's been a great time to be able to kind of learn more about our craft so that we can provide like some really cool stuff. So with all the weird also comes the good. So coming soon, ... to be determined. Let's see. I watched the different foods we both tried. Yay! I mean, it was like, food is always going to be something that's interesting. Riley and I tried to film this really, really fun like Asian grocery store haul, like whenever we were in the Pacific Northwest. We filmed the entire thing. We realized we hated the way that we filmed it. It was just not good. And this is coming from 2 people who film YouTube videos. So this just goes to show that sometimes you have something and you produce it, and no matter what you know, it can turn out to be complete and total garbage. And so instead of getting angry and being like, well, that was a waste of time, we ate the snacks, we had a good time, and we moved forward, and it was fine. But we decided to can that content, and I just used a couple little pieces of it as pieced out pieces for something else that we were working on, and it was fine. But we do want to try to do another one so that we can have some fun with that. And I think that that's one of the things that's on our list of stuff to put on the Try channel at some point. We also filmed, this is how bad it is, guys. We filmed an entire hot pot video. Also, hot pot, for those who don't know, it's like a broth that you put like meatballs and veggies and stuff like that in. And we were just having like a sit down, and it was going to be on Riley's channel. And again, it just spiraled out of control. That's the weird thing about it. You guys see the humor, but sometimes we get off on so many like humorous tangents that we crack ourselves up and then we lose track. And then the next thing you know, the video has just gone into the chaos. And so that's another one that did not exist. Our podcast, we have 8 episodes actually done. There are 8 episodes done. We just decided to go ahead and do the voice on those because doing the video with it, the files were so huge that it was just impossible to upload anything. Like realistically, we tried to upload one, and I was like sitting, mind you, I was at a Starbucks. That could have been part of the problem. I was sitting at a Starbucks for what felt like days, and it wasn't even uploading. So I was just like, okay, we're going to have to cut these down to audio until we can find a more like productive way to do this. So we have contemplated doing a few things. First and foremost, we've talked about doing a live podcast where it's live on the Random Recap channel, where it would just be like a streaming live. We've talked about doing that. We've also talked about just doing the voice uploads. So whenever we get together, we're going to try to finish this out. I want to have 10 episodes where we can have them up and ready to go so you guys can see them on a rollout so that they'll already be there, so that there's not just like this long lull. Because once we start, we need to keep on going. And we can easily maintain like 10 episodes at a time. But if we do the live, I think that would be really great. The biggest thing with that, though, is we're going to have to do it from dedicated spaces that do have good Wi-Fi so that we don't end up with like, because that's not fun to watch. I had one of the videos that I did live at Silver Dollar City the other day that did that, and so frustrating. But that's part of the life of being a person on YouTube. It just sometimes is not ideal. What is the name of the Tiny Living channel? Tiny Texas Living. It is definitely kind of a love thing for me with my little house. And with that channel, it's nice because I can just kind of show you some of the things that I enjoy doing. I really enjoy cooking. I enjoy designing my house. I enjoy weird projects. Some days I have to do normal things, and that's not fun. But it's stuff that I think that we can all have common ground on because we're all doing some version of it, whether we're in a house that's big, a house that's small, or a van, or a car. We're all doing similar tasks. And so I think that the bigger story isn't necessarily, ooh, this is my home and look at this. It's more so like, hey, this is me, normal me, and every day's not as upbeat and woo. Some days it's like, oh no, I have to do the dishes. Like, but yeah, so that's kind of, I think we touched on all the channels now. Oh, the nature channel. I just throw random things on the nature channel. That's one that my mom and I kind of just, oh, this is pretty video. Let's do this. I did record 2 little snippets, one of which is going to go on the nature channel probably this afternoon. I just need to add some music to it so it's copyright free because YouTube and the copyright, just saying. So I'm going to put that on there, and it's just this really cute little caterpillar that we found. I also have a few other videos that I'll probably be adding into shorts. I'm going to try to put up some more shorts on the days that I don't have videos. That way you guys can still have something interesting, see kind of a little glimpse into what I'm up to. Some of that's going to be fun, some of it's going to be weird. Who knows? And then as always, I put usually the shorts up on either TikTok or Instagram also. So there's that. Now, somebody did ask me about memberships. Let me explain memberships. Memberships is just something that I am offering. It's basically, if you are on my Patreon, you don't have to get my memberships. They're basically going to mirror one another because what I have heard, and I'm not sure about this, but what I have heard is that Patreon is going to be changing some of their features, and some of the things that I heard on Patreon, I don't know that I'm going to love. So I decided to go ahead and do memberships just because it's already attached to this channel that I already have, and that way it's easy for people to get to if they're interested. Now with that, there is a price point of $4.99. I understand that not everybody is going to want to pay $4.99, and you do not have to at all. You can see my regular content for free. That is fine. The memberships is actually going to give you access to just kind of some of my behind the scenes stuff, my thoughts, what's going on in more of a real-time scenario because I am on a delay on my videos. If I'm doing something that is interesting, I usually put it there first because I'm really hype about it. I want to share it. And also, like for example, with the thing that happened with the cat, I shared that over there because it was something deeply personal to me. And I knew eventually I'd talk about it here, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure that everyone who is super invested over there did know because they do have that access to more of the things. And so I just kind of wanted to share that. So with the price point on the $4.99, YouTube gave me two options, and that was it. And I didn't like the other option. The other option was that it had 3 levels, and each level had different things that it offered, and it would not let me edit those. I've seen other people say that they're able to edit them. I couldn't, and I don't know if it's because I started memberships later than them, and now it's weird. I have no idea. I did put in a ticket to see if they can give me an explanation, so we shall see. But as of this time, the 3 levels that they were offering, one was like a $10 level, one of them was $4.99, and one of them was $1.99, but the one that was $1.99 only allowed for you to have priority commenting. And I thought, I comment back pretty frequently anyway to most of the people who'd be interested because they're regular people who I'm chatting with frequently. So that's not really a perk at that point. So I didn't want to devalue the people who were paying like $2 by only saying, yes, I'll respond to your comments faster, because I think that that's a silly perk. So instead I was just like, okay, the other option is 1 membership, and then they can have access to everything on there. So I just decided to do that. I figured that that would be better because as of right now, I'm not doing any exclusive lives for memberships, and I'm not doing any exclusive crazy things. So I thought this would be a good way for people to see more of, but also you get little video clips here and there, lots of photos, lots of written stuff, because I like to go on and just kind of like, this is one of the things I do on my Patreon and that I'll be doing on memberships. I like to go on there and just have a communication. So I'll wake up, and let me give an example. I'll just make up something off the top of my head about my day today. Today I woke up. Today was hard to wake up because I didn't feel great. So if I was to put that into context of kind of what that told me about my day, I would write down like how I felt and why I felt that way. But I always, again, in life, find the silver lining. So in that, I would share what my silver lining of the day was. And that's something that's a little bit more personal to me because not everybody's going to have that same aha silver lining moment. But I think it also shows people that, you know, not every day has to start out like magnificent. I think a lot of people think that people on YouTube just have it all together all the time. And that is so far from the truth. We're just regular people who are out here doing our regular stuff. But in doing that, that doesn't mean that you have to live this doom and gloom like life. You just don't. So I always try to find the positives, and I try to update people on Patreon as to what's going on. Like with, for example, when my dad had his little accident situation with his hand, I made sure that people knew, hey, you know, my dad hurt himself. That way people can kind of know and be in the know. So that's what Patreon and memberships are. That way, for those who are interested in that deeper level, they can see it. But if they're not, that's okay. There's no pressure with anything I ever do, guys. I think that that's the biggest thing. I've seen several creators who are just like, you must do. And I'm like, if you want to, cool. If you don't, that's okay too. I'm not going to be upset if somebody doesn't want to join my platform. It's just kind of like every video is not going to be for everybody, and that's okay too. I know that some of the things that I do are not going to be something that everyone is interested in, and I know that some of the things that I am interested in may not appeal to some of the people who are a casual viewer or even a long-time viewer. But with 5 videos a week, you know, that's just kind of how it's going to be sometimes. Some people are just going to be like, I hate this, and it's okay. For example, whenever I did ziplining, I know not everybody's going to want to zipline because some people are afraid of heights, and some people don't feel safe doing things because of their restrictions and things like that. And so it's one of those things that I personally wanted to do it, and I thought that the education that they gave us was so great because it empowered me to feel like I could do it. But at the same time, I totally understand if somebody's like, yeah, this one's not for me. I'm going to watch the next one instead. That's fine. Under pressure, yes. Let's see. So sorry about the cat. It's okay. Realistically, again, as much as I would like to say that they aren't pets, they are kind of pets, but they're not pets. So I was kind of sad, but I just kind of took a day and I did what I needed to do for me, for my mental health. And then after that, I moved forth. And that's what you kind of have to do. Life is going to throw you some weird stuff here and there. It's going to throw you some not so happy days. And it's how you proceed out of those that matters. Because if you let yourself become the darkness of the day, then you don't have the light for the next day. And you need the light for the next day because that's what keeps us going. Let's see. What else do we got here? I'm trying to think. There was something else I was supposed to tell you guys. I don't remember what it was. Oh, no. There was something. I had some kind of like thought as to something I needed to share with you all, and it is now gone. That's how my brain's been working today. I did, let's see, I did 2 full videos today with some of the changes that are being made. So that was fun, but at the same time, 2 videos and then editing them later on. I'm very close to departure. So I'm doing my laundry, I'm doing a video, I'm doing another video, I'm doing this. And at some point when you just sit down, you're like, whoa, what is life today? And that's kind of where my brain is right now. I've noticed that whenever my brain is not braining, it's usually because I've done too much. So I'll probably, after I finish up our live today, go and clean my kitchen because I have things sitting everywhere right now because I was trying to find something. And then after that, I'm going to cook some food and do nothing. Maybe I'll edit a video, but my goal is to do nothing. Let's see. Hope my dad's feeling better. He is feeling better. He definitely is. His finger has fully healed. Dad's had a rough run. He, of course, for those who have not been along on the roller coaster of my dad's had some weird things happening. He fell. He broke some ribs right before his retirement. He ended up having to have surgery. He kind of healed from that, went back to work for like a week or 2 before he retired. He started working on his van and then it got too hot. So he had to stop working on his van. I think that's the right order of his progress. Yeah. And then finally he started working on his van again because he was like, I just got to get it done. And then he tried to cut his finger off on a table saw. Not really. He didn't mean to, but like it just happened. And so he ended up having to get stitches. That was the weirdest morning of my life. I'm sitting in here, hanging out, doing my thing. And all of a sudden I hear boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, oh no, what is going on? This is not good. And comes in, and I don't do well with blood. There's a reason why I'm not a nurse or a doctor or a veterinarian. I don't do well with blood. Like, we're talking like, oh, bad. He comes in, and he has it wrapped up because he knows I don't do so good with blood. But at the same time, he's like, I think he'll be fine. No, it was not fine. It was not fine. So we ended up having to take him to the hospital, and they stitched him up. Fortunately, he was okay, but he thought he was just going to go without some stitches. No, as soon as I saw the amount of blood that was squirting out from under the thing that was supposed to be covering it up so I wouldn't see it, I was just like, absolutely not. We're calling Mom. Mom was at school. Yeah. Not good, not good, not fun times. Fun time was not had by all on that day. But yes, he's doing better now, so thank goodness. But yeah, Gina, I miss you, friend. Long time no chat. Hello from my favorite state. Let's see, what time is it here? It is 7:00 p.m. here. Let's see. Oh, Michelle, it's okay. We're just chit-chatting today. I'm just kind of updating everybody on what's going on in life, what they can expect to see, why some videos are going to feel weird because they're kind of out of order, but it's just kind of how life is. Yeah. You cut your fingertip off? Ow. Okay, so while you were 3, I'm sure it hurt really bad. But as an adult, do you still have the phantom pain of remembering it? Or is it like one of those things where it's so far removed, you're like, okay, it just happened? I'm just curious because, like, I have only had stitches one time in life. Ironically enough, on the same finger that my dad decided to cut off. So I couldn't ever show anybody my stitches because it's on the no, shame, shame finger. And so my dad had this big red bandage on his no, shame, shame finger. And so it was like one of those weird things that I'm like, hey, Dad, welcome to the club. You're going to have a cool scar on your no, shame, shame finger. And so it's kind of a laughter thing. But I remember the feeling of cutting the finger because I have this weird memory that remembers things. So I remember it, but I more so remember it because it was like so quick that I was just like, oh no. And it was on a can, so I'm fortunate that I still use cans like at all because, wow. The no, shame, shame finger. You're not supposed to use that finger in the outlet. Like, people tend to frown upon it if you show them that finger, and if you're really angry and you show them that finger, at this point now you could be unalived because people are crazy, so we just try not to. Let's see. Cannot remember anything at all. That is so fortunate. So fortunate. My daughter cut hers off. Oh, at Einstein? Oh, that would be bad. That's like an instantaneous, everyone gets free bagels. Oh, no. Oh, I'm from Florida. Anything goes. That's true. That's super true. I think many men cut their fingers off. Oh, by a show of hands, if you are a man in the comments section, have you cut off a finger or a fingertip or anything like that? Just the men in the room. Just show me a hand emoji if you have. And if you're watching this in replay, leave it in the comments. I'm just curious. I know they use a lot more like power tools than most women do, although there are lots of women in the van space who are awesome with power tools. It's not as typical for women to use power tools, which is the leading cause of men cutting off their fingers. I passed out. My mom took my stitches out. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Currently driving through Florida right now. Ooh, nice. What were you doing in Florida, Bart? Where were you at? Did you go anywhere cool? I haven't been to Florida since the last time that I went was, I want to say it was like 20. No, wait, I have been there since because I went with Anika. So the last time I spent a substantial amount of time actually in Florida was like in 2016, I think. It's been a long time. I went out to Miami and was there for like 2 weeks. It was fabulous. Since then, though, I've only gone to go visit friends or to help friends move. Let's see. Ooh, my motion detector went off. Oh, no. I never noticed that you were using a different camera. Well, this one I'm using my cell phone right now, so it's just basically the same. Haul in the trailer. Living the dream, Bart. Living the dream. I get it. I totally get it. Oh my gosh. Oh! Starting a lawnmower? That sounds painful. Okay, so I have a weird story. I have so many weird stories. I don't think you guys even know how many weird stories I have. In fact, Riley and I were talking about this the other night. I have lived one of the weirdest lifetimes of all lifetimes. And I just don't go into details about it because I know that it's weird. But I have a funny lawnmower story. So way back when I was like 17 or 18, I knew someone who was mowing their yard and they didn't pick up the stuff in their yard first because they didn't think about it because they were all so young. And, you know, the first thing that a parent tells you if you're mowing the yard is make sure you pick up everything so you don't end up like pelting something out. So you look for big stuff. Well, he didn't look for big stuff and he ended up running over a piece of baling wire, which then got stuck on the blade and flicked back up directly into his like inner thigh. That's a weird thing to go to the hospital for. Baling wire in your inner thigh, like it shot it inside the thigh. I felt so bad for him because it couldn't have felt good. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? That's the weirdest lawnmower story that I know. Like, yeah, that could have gone very badly for you. Like, It was just bad. But anyway, every time I think of it, I still kind of crack up a little bit because it's not funny, but at the same time, it's one of those weird things when you're telling about like your battle scars in life. Yeah, this one time I tried to like, yeah, bad. Oh, I'm more happy after Colorado. I'm always happy. I think the thing is, people just don't think I'm happy because I'm hot, and I'm always happy. I laugh a lot more whenever we're doing these kinds of like chit chats and stuff like that. It is refreshing to get out of the heat though, and I had a really good time at the Mountain House retreat, and I think that that's another thing. Community is really an awesome thing, and so getting to see some of the people I hadn't seen in literally a year and getting to do all the cool things with the Mountain House team, they are just the neatest people. And sitting down and talking to them, like, I feel like in my direct orbit of world, I do a lot of cool stuff. I know I do. I go a lot of neat places. I see a lot of neat things. And I have frequently people saying, oh my gosh, I wish I could do those things. And I just see it as like a typical Tuesday. But listening to some of the ambassadors, I'm just like, dude, I do nothing in comparison to you guys. There is one guy on the Mountain House team who literally is like Superman. He does skydiving and he actually jumps with people. That's a cool thing in itself. But then he also is a guy who peaks all these mountains. In fact, last year after we left the Mountain House retreat, within 5 days he had peaked 5 of the major mountains in Washington. And he does this frequently. In fact, after this particular retreat, he got on a plane and went to Switzerland to go and hike there and see all of these cool things. So I'm just like, dude, that is awesome. And then there's this one girl who is amazing. Her and her husband are both pilots, and they have their own little planes and they fly. So she flew to the Mountain House retreat. Literally, she flew herself to the Mountain House retreat. And I was like, that is so awesome. And those are only 2 of them. And there are so many amazing, incredible people I'm so fortunate to be even affiliated with. And so every time I leave there, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so energized to go and do these things. So I think that that's really the high of the energy that you're seeing is like, I'm like, okay, now I need to go do these things. And I'm just inspired by these people. So I think that that's kind of the interesting thing. You can see things and want to do them, but when you talk to people who have done them and they're just like, yes, I did this, or oh my gosh, this was so cool, you need to try this, then you're much more apt to be like, yes, I can, because they boost you up too, to make you think that you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof. You're like King Kong, even though in all reality, you're like, I am a 40 plus woman who's slightly overweight and has lung issues, but I can do that. Yeah, sure. So I think that that's the best thing about it is like the empowerment that comes from that. So going to Colorado was really great because I got to have that retreat from the heat, but also because I had that like super, and it really motivated me toward my next projects and to see like, I can do this. I'm moving into 7 years of travel, guys. And it is wild to me to think about like, after you get on the road, if you're not on the road already, or if you are on the road, I encourage you to do this. Take pictures from throughout the time that you've been on the road once a year. Take them from the beginning of your travels to the current place that you are at. Just take pictures and just throw some music on and throw it into a slide presentation on like your phone. You can do that. If you have an iPhone, just use iMovie and just drop a whole bunch of photos and a song in and just watch it. Tell me you are not geeked out by the amount of things that you accomplished that you didn't think that you would be able to do, or that you'd waited all this time of your life to do, and the cool places that you've gone, which each have a memory that resonates in your brain when you see them. And it takes you down that path of, ooh, I met these people and I did this and I accomplished this and I saw something that I didn't think I would ever see. And when you get finished watching each year doing this, you see that even though you might have had struggles, even though you might have had some problems along the way that might have derailed some of your goals, you still are pretty cool and did a lot of neat things. I'm going on 7 years of doing that. And each year, whenever I kind of look back, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Me from 7 years ago, who didn't camp, who didn't do these things, is looking on going, wow, we did this. That's awesome. And what's even more crazy is that that's the viewpoint that other people have of your life. They have the highlight reel because they see you from a social media perspective, and they don't see all the stuff that's behind the scenes. They don't see all the things that cloud our judgment about what we've done and bring us down because we're critical of ourselves. They just see literally the images and the, oh, this looks cool. And so when you look at it from that same perspective and aren't so critical to yourself, you can see just how awesome that you actually have been and all the things that you've actually accomplished. And you look at it from a perspective that isn't going to be instantly judging yourself. And I think that that's a big thing, especially, I know there's men and women in here, but especially as women, we are super critical of ourselves in all that we do. And because we are so critical, we tend to discount the really cool things. So for example, if you are a person who had a 9-to-5 where you were in retail and all your life, you listened to other people come in and talk about what they wanted, and you never really put into thought what you might want. Or you did, but you didn't do it. And so now you're getting to do it, and you're seeing that. You can look at all of those times when you doubted yourself, when you sat back, when you weren't happy, when you were doom and gloom because you were like, oh, I really am not fulfilled. And you can say, wow, I took all that time, but in the past year, wow, I've done a lot. And I've made up for some of that. And I'm going to keep going. And you'll bounce into that next year with a new set of like happy feet, ready to go. Because instead of saying, oh, I blew a tire when I was in Colorado, I had to spend this money, I really didn't like the fact that those pants didn't fit the same way. Any of those things that we say to ourselves, you'll see that those are little and minuscule in comparison to the bigger picture of who you become whenever you do these things. So try that. Let's see. Tired looking at just my yard. I understand. Trust me. I've sat and looked at my yard a lot this year, and that's what started me on projects here. I found fulfillment. The thing is, you can find fulfillment anywhere that you are. You just have to look at things from a slightly different perspective. Whenever I found out that I was going to be sitting a bit, best believe I was just like, okay, how can I make this a bit better so I'm not just feeling like I'm sitting? And so I started working on my house or finding clever ways to find things close by. And it really does change your perspective overall, and it makes you just take yourself out of that, I can't. And you're doing then. It's just you're not doing it to the full extent, but you're doing it, and it's easing into the big full extent. Hello, Missy and Bill. Let's see. I enjoy the weirdness. Good, because we're all a little weird in our own little weird ways. I love the fact that, and I know everybody comes here from different places, but I love the fact that there's a lot of people who watch Chrome and he tells everybody that they're all weirdos. I love that because I have always thought everybody's a mess and everybody's weird, and it's just about finding our way to find our weird people. That's it. That's all there is to it. That's what I think resonated with me whenever I saw his channel. I was just like, dude, yeah, we think alike. We do think alike. I don't know that we think alike on everything, but on that, we think alike. So that's why I kind of think that, like, be your own weird. Like, as long as you're not out there hurting anybody, who cares? Like, if you want to wear purple every single day for a solid year, wear purple. If you decide that you want to hop on one leg and be a kangaroo, be a kangaroo. As long as it's not hurting anybody, who cares? At the end of the day, our weird is what makes us unique, and our unique is what makes the world a better place. Despite the fact that a lot of people out there right now don't think unique is good, I think unique's pretty awesome, because if we all walk alike, talk alike, look alike, that's boring. Like, who wants that? I think anybody can adapt to somebody else's standard, but what if you pave the way of making your own way? That's daring. That's brave. We like brave better. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, I get on little tangents. I really do think that there's 65 people in here right now. I think that every single person who is in here right now is cool in their own way. And a lot of people don't think that they're cool. They just don't. The thing is, we're all cool in our own way. It may not be for everybody, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be for everybody. As long as, again, you're not hurting anybody, who cares? Every single person in this room has something different to contribute to a conversation, because we've all walked our own lives and we've all lived our own ways. And that's what makes the weird world that we live in interesting. And that's why I always try to get to know people and learn from them, because I think that one of the things that we so often do is we think we have all the answers. Guess what, guys? We don't. There's this whole other world that other people are living in, that they've existed without our answers. And we need to know what their answers are, because once we know what their answers are and they know what our answers are, we come to this collective understanding that our answers aren't always the same. And that's okay, because that means that this person is contributing something different, and that together we can contribute something super awesome, because we can figure out how to do that. But we have to listen, and we have to know and grow. Know and grow. Let's see. I think I'm cool. Absolutely. Everybody should wake up every morning and say, I'm cool, I am nice, I can do this. And give themselves some positive affirmations instead of the negative ones. Because how many times have we woke up and be like, oh my gosh, this day is going to be so hard? I mean, I do it. Everybody has. But if instead of we say, oh my gosh, this day is going to be so hard, and we continue to live in that, if we then shake it off and be like, okay, I had my moment, it's going to be hard, but give yourself a positive but. Always end on a positive but, as opposed to a negative but. There is a difference whenever you say, oh my gosh, that was so great, but. That's a downer but. We don't want those. We only want the, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, but I woke up today. There you go. You have a positive. Instantly you have a positive. Or I don't know if there's positive with the fly. I'm just saying, because I can't kill it. But I think that that's the thing, is like the more that we say the positive buts instead of the negative buts, the more that we start to live in a positive vibe as opposed to a negative vibe. And again, there's going to be weird stuff that happens, but if we let that dictate our entire existence, we're just going to be sad. There's a lot of things right now in this world that we can be sad about. And I know that sometimes it can feel super hopeless. I mean, I've been sitting here watching the news and going, oh my gosh, the world is not good right now. Like, on so many levels, the world is not good. But, here's the but. I can do what I can do to make the part of my world a better place. There we go. So I do my little walking with my walking app, my trees. If I can plant a tree, guess what? That means I'm not doing anything. If I can say a kind thing to a person at a grocery store, that might make their whole day. So I have the ability to do things within my little space that take the negative but to a positive place. And then from there, it might inspire somebody else to have a positive day also. And I think that that is what we should be focused on, instead of the things that we can't control or the things that just pull us down. I know that's a very upbeat kind of thing, but you guys have not seen some of the days that I have woken up and been like, ooh, doom and gloom, ooh. And then I have pulled myself out of it by simply trying to do that. And sometimes it literally takes you saying, okay, I have to try to say kind things to myself today. Even if you have to force yourself to do it, your brain is a weird thing. It will believe you if you just do it. Let's see. I think I'm cool too. Yes, absolutely. We have lots of cool sunglasses going on right now, and I like that emoji because it has sunglasses. Let's see. How much of your running thoughts on Tiny Living Channel truth? How much are they for entertainment? Most of them are very true. Sometimes I just have to record them after the fact because I have to do like a voiceover or something like that. But I have an ongoing dialogue, and I realized only recently that that is not all people who have an ongoing dialogue, an ongoing soundtrack. I know that. That's not everybody's thing. But this is how I am. And that was one of the nice things about the Tiny Channel, is I can show that to people that like, dude, I'm kind of weird, and it's okay. Like, I'm out here just like, oh my gosh, why? And I talk to inanimate objects, and that's okay because it's fine. I personify lots of stuff. I'd probably personify this cup if I was trying to figure out if I wanted to drink out of it or something else. I mean, that's just how I am. I talk to the animals outside. I'm very Snow White-like in that regard. It's weird. I only know that because my friends are like, you literally talk to the birds. And I'm like, yeah, why not? Like, they're cool. Like, I'm hoping that they'll land on my little hand. Like, why not? So, yeah, I'm just weird. And I embrace that fully. So whenever I decided to do the Tiny Channel, I was like, let's do me. Like, exactly me. I am all of these things. That's the interesting thing, is I am that version of, like, do, but I'm also very educational based. You can be intelligent and also just have an ongoing internal dialogue that you spit out and share to others. Like, it's fine. You can be both. You can be a lot of things in this world. Let's see. Even kangaroos should be careful about who you let in your pouch. Yes, that's true. That's very true. What you see is what you get. Absolutely. Like, that is it. Like, I think that there is a decorum and there is a time and place. And sometimes you gotta just and be good. But at the same time, if you don't have to be like professional 24/7, don't be. Like, allow yourself to unbutton the top button and just live your life a little bit. I worked in professional corporate America for a while. I worked in a professional sports team, and you have to kind of have your stuff together to do those things. And you can't just show up and be loud and obnoxious and weird. And so there's a time and place for loud, obnoxious, and weird. I have built the lifestyle that I have so I can have that more often than not. And still, at the same time, I had a business meeting recently with a pretty cool project that I think comes out in January. We'll see. If it does, you guys are going to hear me shouting from the rooftops. But I had to have a meeting, and that meant I needed to be like, okay, we need to be professional. We can't be like, do. I need to just be professional. And so I just turned on the professional side of me, which is also a side of me. I think you can be super multifaceted and kind of navigate through your world accordingly. There's a fly, but it won't bite me. Okay, there's a fly here, and I don't think it'll bite me, but it just wants to annoy me. It just keeps doing the little woo. The only thing I have a fear about the fly situation is there is this nurse that I follow on TikTok who is very up to date on all the crazy things going on in the world. This nurse said that there is a specific kind of fly currently in Texas because of the heat dome that is a biting fly that actually like lays worms. So, no, I don't want that to happen to me or to anything. So I'm just like, the fly must die. This could be a perfectly harmless fly. And I don't feel bad about my choices in this particular manner. I normally would be like, go outside, please. But no, we're not playing. Let's see. Oh, you love my sunglass collection? Thank you so much. I have a lot of sunglasses. I love my sunglasses, though. Let's see. Whoa, it all just went away for a second. Let me try to catch up to where I was. See, that's what I'm saying, guys. The random humming, that's also part of my weirdness. My favorite videos are the ones where you teach us cool history. I love those too because I love brain wrinkles. I think that it's important for us to learn about the world around us. And if we can learn about the world around us in a unique way, that's kind of a fun place. Like, even if people can't go to that place, at least they get the knowledge from the place. And I think that that's why I started doing this. Anything that I do on my channel, I want it to be family friendly. So I try to make it where if my mom wants to use any of my videos that are teaching about history or science or nature or anything cool like that, that she can use them in school and that the kids can learn from them too, because I don't know, the kids like me for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's probably because I'm all over the place. But I feel like that's an opportunity to have an impact on not only people of like my age group or a different age group that's older, but also an age group that's younger. And I think that that's really important because, you know, there's a lot of resources out there, but if you can connect with all of those age groups at once doing the same thing, that's really cool, because then that brings us all into the same boat together, and then maybe we can have a better understanding of the world, and then maybe we'll be nicer as a whole after we kind of understand it, you know? Let's see, what sports team? I used to work for the Dallas Mavericks. Nothing wrong with talking to the trees. No, it's actually quite therapeutic. And sometimes what's really fun is I will talk to all the little critters around, and they tend to, I know it's probably just me being like, oh my gosh, they're looking, they're talking. But I will listen to the cadence of their voices, and I can sometimes mimic sounds. It's one of the weird things that I do. So I try to mimic their sounds. I don't know if I'm saying the right words in their bird language, but I try. Let's see. You love hearing about history? Yes. It's okay to wear your sunglasses at night. It is. It totally is. You know, I know a lot of people who used to, in my other lifetime, whenever I used to go out all the time, I would know people who would wear their sunglasses in the club. And I would be like, okay, I totally get it. And I know some people would be like, they're wearing their sunglasses in the club. That's so stupid. Or they're trying to hide something. And I'm like, dude, I have sensitive eyes. I would totally wear sunglasses 24/7 if I could find the right ones for different lights. That would be awesome for me. So I would totally wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. In fact, I do have one pair that I can wear while I'm driving because it helps with the brightness of specifically the bright lights like I have. That's another reason why I don't like to drive at night, is because a lot of times those lights are like super blinding just in general, but like to me, I will be very blind. Let's see. I skipped some. I think I've caught up to those though. I'm 52. I love your educational videos. Thank you. Thank you. I have some cool places that I want to go as I take off this week. I'm hoping that I make it to them. If I do, some really neat brain wrinkles. And then also a portion of what I was talking about earlier about maybe winter being a little bit different this year. Brain wrinkles. I have some brain wrinkles I am trying to pursue. Let's see. People say talk to their plants. It helps them grow. Okay, so I previously, whenever I worked in newsprint, before I know it's hard to keep up with my weird life, guys, but I worked for a newspaper in a small town, and then I bought out the newspaper in my small town, and then I ran it and owned it. Before I owned it, though, the guy who had it, the publisher and owner, he was an avid plant enthusiast. And he would talk to his plants. He would play music for his plants. He also had some questionable practices with his plants because he was a smoker. And he would take his leftover ashes and ash them into there because the nitrates from the ash actually made them grow bigger. If I didn't see it myself, I wouldn't believe it. But oh my gosh, it worked. It was weird. But yes, talking to your plants helps a lot. You just turned 60. Awesome. People. Oh, I just read that one. My daughter had a possum family under her house. I've had a couple possums in the yard. There was a huge possum in the yard a while back. Now that I've put the little exterior fence to kind of protect the cats from the random dogs, we don't get as many of the possums, but I still have some raccoons that pop up every so often, and they'll just like do. Let's see. Kamikaze flies in quartzite. Yeah, I've experienced those there. They're not fun. If trees start talking back at me, let me know so I can avoid that place. You know, in theory, yes. But in reality, if a tree started talking back to me, I would probably be like, oh, that is so cool. And then it would probably whomp me, like on Harry Potter. I don't know if you've seen Harry Potter, but the Whomping Willow, yeah, that would probably be me. And then there'd be this weird news story where it's like woman killed by tree, and nobody would understand why. It would just be weird. And they'd be like, it was a freak accident. The tree fell on her. No, it talked to me, it warned me, and then it whacked me. That's probably what my life would be if it talked back. Let's see. Blinded by the light, night, afternoon delight. Yep. I used to wear my sunglasses at night. Also, I understand. Yes. Let's see. Plants love rock and roll music. I wouldn't doubt it. I think that plants like sound in general. They tend to be excited by the vibrations of the sound, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I wear my glasses at night. Glasses also count. You should wear your glasses at night, especially if they're prescription. Have a possum that comes in my garage sometime. I leave cat food for him. You have a domestic possum. You have a pet now. Is my tiny house roof insulated? Yes, it is. Everything in here is super well insulated. The interesting thing is the roof that you guys see, let me just show you. So this right here is actually not the top of the roof itself. It's actually dropped down just a little bit. So the purpose of doing that was to make the roof appear taller whenever you're in the space. In a tiny space, if you have a regular ceiling, it feels very claustrophobic. So if you are doing an extension of the ceiling or an angle like it's in here, it actually appears much larger of a space than it actually is. The tiny house that I live in is about 700 square feet, I believe, something like that. So it's about the size of my first apartment whenever I moved to Dallas. I feel like I am in a mansion in comparison to that apartment because that apartment had low ceilings, and this feels like a totally open, like the first and foremost, it's because of the layout. It flows long, and so it makes you feel like you have a lot more space. But then also because of the reflectiveness of the ceiling itself, because of the tin that was used up there, the light bounces upward and outward, so it really makes the space feel much larger. So if you are looking at tiny homes, think about that. The other tiny home that's on property, which guess what, guys? You guys are going to be seeing pretty soon. It has a little bit different of a ceiling dynamic to it, and it uses a tan wall, and it is a totally different vibe in there. This is much more open because of the white walls and the planking that is used inside, and then also the ceiling and the rafters. Let me see. Gotta go catch up. Trees killing people. Watch M. Night Shyamalan. Okay, anything that Mr. Shyamalan does is just insane. I actually saw some funny memes about him where they were like saying, if you ever see his name affiliated with anything, just prepare to die. And I was like, oh no, especially during spooky season. Let's see, Talking Trees from Lord of the Rings. Oh yeah, I forgot about them. I haven't watched Lord of the Rings in a while. I need to watch that again because I saw something that was kind of an interesting little, somebody was like going in and showing all of the like Easter eggs that they have in there. And there was an Easter egg that they mentioned that I saved the TikTok so I could go back and like line it up and find it. But it looked pretty cool. So I want to see if I can find it without the TikTok, and then I'll have to watch it again probably. Dinner time. Have a great night. Have a great night. Thank you for stopping by and chatting for a bit. If a tree talks back to you, please share what you're on. I don't think that would have to be the case. I don't. Again, I live in a weird world. Let's see. Awesome. Love your house. Thank you. And then thank you for the information. Absolutely. Magical garden. All the plants and flowers spoke. I mean, yeah. I think that's what's weird is like, have you seen Avatar? If you've seen Avatar, in all reality, all things around us do speak. We just don't hear them because we don't know what to hear. There is a man who, after watching Avatar, designed this product, and you can actually listen to the vibrations that move through plants with it. It's so expensive. I looked into it because I was like, oh my gosh, that'd be so cool. And then I was like, womp womp, just kidding. Yeah, no, that's not, I don't ball on that particular kind of budget. So no, but it's really neat because they hook it into a plant by just placing these little pads on it. And what it does is it will tell how the vibration of the energy that moves through it, because plants are energy also, it shows how that works by making a sound. And every plant sounds different. Even within kinds of plants, they sound slightly tonally different based on how the production. And he showed some plants that were in like an alpine area that it takes them so much energy just to produce one flower, and they may not get there before the season ends. And so their frequency of blooming is so much harder, and the sound from that was so different than the low-lying plants, and you could hear how the sound was moving, and it was so cool. Again, if I find a video from him on YouTube, I'll share it at some point because it's just really cool. But I was just blown away by that. And again, if I could afford that, oh my gosh, if I had that kind of money, if I was to like be like, oh my gosh, instant millionaire, I would buy one of those just so I could listen to plants. I think that'd be cool. Let's see. Blues Brothers wear glasses. Absolutely. Blues Brothers are in good company with all of the other cool sunglass wearers out there. Let's see. Pee Wee Herman had talking plants. He did in his playhouse. Yes, he did. Pee Wee's Playhouse was the jam back in the day. And I used to love the Pee Wee dance. I know it was inappropriate for me to like that now, knowing what the only lyric of the song is. As a child, I was like, tequila! I had no idea what tequila was. I just knew Pee Wee did a cool dance to it. And knowing this now, I get it. Why it probably wasn't appropriate for me to be excited about it when it came on at the skating rink, but it was cool, okay? It was cool. Let's see. Good night. Have a good one. Let's see. Okay. Sheila, have a good one. Thank you for coming by. Speaking of wildlife, had a coyote at a bedroom window. Ooh, that would be weird. Was he like trying to like figure out if he could get in? Was he howling? Was he trying to get your dog? Was it a problem? Were the windows open? Were the windows closed? Were there screens? I have so many questions. I will always have this many questions for anything that is an interesting scenario. Yes, Tiny Texas Living. Because he was so different, like you said. Yes. Tequila dance. So I saw this guy doing karaoke, and he's like, I did the best karaoke. And I was like, okay, let's see him do the best karaoke. And I was hyped for him because I was like, okay, this is either going to be super funny because of the way that he was so hyped, or it's going to be really surprisingly good. And then he got up there and he said, okay, start the music. And then the tequila song came on, and I was like, oh, he's that guy. He's going to sing one word. And by the time that he was finished singing his one word, everyone was so excited that I was just like, okay, I get it. This is actually good karaoke. Even though it's only one word, it's good. He was looking for the Roadrunner. Beep, beep. Yeah. Sorry, Tiny Texas Living. It's okay. There's a Texas Tiny Living also. So if you go there, you'll find somebody else. They are cool looking too. I've watched a couple of their videos because I was like, oh, I didn't know there was one of these, because when I looked it up, there wasn't. Awesome. Just howling, windows down. Okay, so it's not terrible. It's just not great. You have a new friend. I need to wash all my water bottles. I'm currently onto this one. This one is the least insulated of the insulated because there's a shaker. But I always like to soak my water bottles in like extremely hot water for a long time, and then I go in and I wash them. And so today, since I'm packing everything up, I was getting all of my water bottles ready to go. And so I have all my filtered water bottles in a separate place than my other water bottles. And so I was just like, okay, we're going with this one. The only problem is if I put cold water in this for about 2 minutes, it's so cold that it hurts my entire face. And then after that, there's about 20 minutes where I can drink it and it's regular, and then it gets hot. Like, even if it's cool in the house, it just gets weird. So I'm like, okay, it's just gonna stay there. Let's see, just howling at the windows. Yep. I think that everybody has a dork move, and I think it's so fun that like Riley has her own little dorky dance moves, and she shares them so frequently, and it's so funny because she's always like, you need to dorky dance with me. And I enjoy dancing. The funny thing about it is I genuinely actually enjoy dancing. I just don't do it very often because I prefer the people watching aspect of being at a place that has dancing. It's just something fun for me because it's like, where's Waldo of all the craziness. But whenever I do dance, it's not a dorky dance, it's a regular dance. And so whenever she's like, we gotta dance, and I'm like, oh no, we're dorky dancing. And so I'm just like, let's pull out the weirdest moves. And so then it becomes almost like a thing of, okay, well, what can I do that's weird this time? Is there something I haven't done? Can I do the sprinkler this time? Can I mow the lawn? Ooh, we could mow the lawn. At the same time, I really hope that no one thinks that's how we actually dance. I mean, it might be how we dance, but not all the time. Oh, let's see. Shaken but not stirred. Yes. Bond. How many bottles do I have when I travel with? Okay, so I travel with 2 filter water bottles at all times. I travel with the one that I have the timer, or not the timer, the, why did my brain just go boop? The one that I have where I can set it down and it tells me how much more I need to consume. I have that one, mainly because I have decided that I really like the size of that one more than anything. And I do enjoy that, especially on a hot day, I can use that little pad and it'll remind me to drink the water. Ultimately, I should just get a really big water bottle that's huge, that has the amount of water I need to drink, and then that's my goal for the day, is just to drink that. But I like to filter my water, so that's just not something that I do a lot. So usually I have anywhere between 2 and 3 water bottles with me. And then I also have a cup that I take with me that is for my hot items, because I do not like to use these for hot items because they keep the heat too long. So instead I have just a carabiner cup that I can make my hot tea or my coffee in, and that way I don't scald myself, because I used to use one of these and then I burned the whole top of my mouth off, and it was like, oh, never again. No. Do you ever get song lyrics pop up in my head? Yes, all the time. All the time. My ongoing theme songs, as I call them, the ones that come back the most frequently are the Mario music. I have no idea why, because my life is dictated based on what level of Mario music is happening. If the scenario is just normal, it's level 1 Mario music, and we're talking about like the first Mario, not like Mario 3 or any of those, not Smash Brothers or Mario Kart. We're talking about level 1 primitive early moments in my brain, and if it gets real intense, then it's level 2. And I don't know why. The other theme song that continues to pop into my head for no apparent reason is the Doug cartoon theme song. I have no idea. But those are the ones that are all the time there. But then, I'm a person who, if I'm in a scenario, a song will just pop up. It is like the soundtrack of my life, literally playing out. And so I wish I could use all of those songs in my videos just so you guys could see kind of the randomness of my brain. But instead, I try to share the songs that basically how I feel in that moment. And so that's why a lot of times, like, you'll find a really peaceful sounding song in a really peaceful environment, because it makes me feel at peace. Jurassic Park, yes, that's another one that is always there. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. It's always going to be in existence. If I am in a place that is green and lush, I'm going to think of little T-Rex arms and the moment where they all of a sudden see the T-Rex for the first time. I'm also going to have some weird, like, moment where I'm just like, okay, this is where the dinosaur goes, and there's the fog. It's a visual thing in my head every time, and it's weird. A Madonna song. Okay, so I'm the same way. Like, literally, if a song is something, Jaws really doesn't get stuck in my head very much, but sometimes the Muppets song that I put on my short on, so I couldn't use the song on YouTube because copyright, but I did on Instagram, and it's like the dun 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 dun. That song, I'm probably gonna get a strike just for doing that even. That song eats my brain frequently, and it doesn't help that, like, when I don't have it in my head, my dad will just power of suggestion that one in there because he knows it gets stuck in my head. Thanks, Dad. But yeah, but other than that, I'll have other songs in my head all the time. Like, I got really stuck on Something in the Orange one day, and like, I thought, oh, if I just listen to it, it'll go away. No. It doesn't until it's ready to go, and then it's like, oh, we can move on to this one. I've really been into this guy named Ash Minor lately. His songs don't necessarily get stuck in my head, but like the tempo of his music gets stuck in my like whole self, and it's like really good music. His really sultry, like soulful voice, and I really enjoy people who have like, it sounds like they care. It sounds like they're in it. So people like that, I really enjoy. I enjoy Jacob Banks. Jacob Banks is really, really good because, again, that soulful raspiness to his voice, it's really incredible. But then I'll be going down, and all of a sudden I'll have like some random song from the 90s that I'm like, oh yeah, we're living in the 90s. And it's usually like the music of my time frame of whenever I was in school, that I'm just like, I could just binge out on 90s music. And it's not always like pop music. Sometimes it's like harder, sometimes it's lighter, sometimes it's chill. And then at the same time, because I have such a diverse, like weird love for music in general, I may be hanging out and all of a sudden there's Bing Crosby. Like, what? Why? Like, why? Let's see, the Fraggle Rock song. That one doesn't really get stuck in my head as much. I don't know why. That one's just never grasped on to like my frontal lobe and been like, I live here. So I'm fortunate with that because that one would be gone. 99 Red Balloons. Yes, I think Zombie is more so in my head, and I don't know why. I think it's because, again, her voice. I think there's certain voices that just cling to me. And it's like, yeah. It's a good song, though, so I'm not mad. Let's see. Do the same thing with animals. I love talking to animals. Yes, I agree. Aloha from Hawaii. Nice. I agree, though. I think that that's the thing is like, I didn't know until more recently that not everybody has that. And so I just assumed that everybody's walking around in this world to their own like special beat. And then I found out there's a large section of the world that does not see the world as vividly, and they do not have a soundtrack, and thus they do not understand whenever I'm just like do 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 do, like they don't get it. They're like, why did you just do that? And it's really bizarre to them. In the meantime, I'm just like, that's a typical day for me. Like, it's just my reality, you know? Also, another thing that I learned while I was kind of going down this rabbit hole of not everybody can do that. Now, whenever you think of something in your mind, we're going to do a little experiment here where you can do this. When you think of something in your mind, how do you see it? So the example I'm going to give you, everybody engage in this, and I want you to write your answers in the chat. If I say apple, what do you think of? Does anything pop into your head immediately? What does it look like? What does it sound like? Taste like? Does it have any flavor? Are you eating it? Are you hanging out with it? Are you just in a room with it? Is it in a basket? What do you think of immediately? Peanut butter. Okay, that's a good response. That's like a trigger word thing. So as we kind of go through this, it's wild to see people think of things so differently. You think of a green apple. Okay, a Granny Smith. My throat will close. It's bad. Okay, that's a good thing to note also. Red apple. Worm. Okay, or actually, I think it's caterpillar. It may be a worm. I think of Macintosh. Records. Okay, cool. Granny Smith. Red Delicious. Yes. So all of these things, it just goes to show that each of us think different things. Now, my next question is, when you think of that, how did you visualize it in your head? Did you visualize it in your head? If you did visualize it in your head, was it like a flat image? Was it like a three-dimensional thing? Was it something that was so real that you could grab it? I'm going to wait for your responses on that. I'm just curious. Fiona and apple fritters? Fair. Pie, picture of an apple tree? Yes. Pie, sweet? Yes. So you have some sensory things. You have a 3D image? Awesome. I was eating a cup of peanut butter? Yes. Okay. So you see from the comments how different it is? There are so many people who, when you say apple, nothing. It's just a word. That's wild to me. It's also really sad to me because I've said this on my channel. I think I've said it on both of my channels. I live in such a colorful, vivid world where everything I see has this dimension and texture, and I like to feel it, I like to smell it, I like to taste it, I like to experience it. In my head, before I experience it, I already have an idea as to what it is, what it's going to be, how it impacts my life, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So when I think of apple, I immediately think of something that is so tangible that I could take it out of my head and show you, and that's it. And I could describe it so well before doing that. And so it is crazy to me to think that there's a whole section of the world who doesn't have that. It's kind of sad, right? So the same kind of people who don't see things visually like that also typically do not have any kind of like external like thing that they exude with music or with a dialogue. Like there's some people who can have, okay, here's another question, and then I'll get your responses and then we'll talk about it. Whenever you are thinking of something, for example, you are trying to envision something that is going to happen, how in depth do you go with that? So what I mean by that is, do you just think, oh, I'm going to do this? Or do you think of, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to play it out in my head how I'm going to do it? Or do you play it out so much that you can have a physical conversation within your head with how it's going to go without speaking out loud, of course, because that would be you talking to yourself. But you're actually talking to yourself in your head. So which one of those are you? Are you just a, hey, here's the thought plus some, or here's the whole entire fleshed out thought? Now, the reason why I ask that is because there are some people who, whenever they plan things and they want to do things, they deep dive into them so much that they are immersed in them, that they're already part of it. And then there are other people who, when they have the thought, they can't. Like, that's it. There's nothing. That is also sad to me. Because in my head, if I listen to music or if I watch a movie, I can see and feel and hear all of the pieces. And I like to listen to a lot of different music that is designed to kind of surround you because you get that auditory feeling. And because of that, I've noticed that I have a more active imagination and am able to do those things, but I can also foresee what I need to do in a much more visual way in my head before I execute anything. And so I know there's a lot of people who are like that, but there's a lot of people who aren't. Very detailed description, yes. All of the above, yes, okay. I once had the Spider-Man theme stuck. I feel your pain, I really do. Same thing for reading a book. I get a visual picture, yes. I definitely understand that. Like, I think that sometimes that reading is something that people do and they hate because they don't have that visual image and they can't imagine the characters in the way that they are, because even with all the descriptors in the world, some people just have that flat, I can't do it. And it's not that it's wrong that they can't do it, it's just they just don't have that part. And so I always find it interesting to engage in conversations, especially with people who are from different variations of that, because to me, the world that I live in is an expression of the colors that I see. The world that I create is an expression of the colors that I see. Everything is so vivid. Everything is bold. I think that's partially because I have sensitive eyes, and so it makes things bolder, probably, realistically. But at the same time, I think it's also because the way that my brain processes it is so much bigger and bolder. And I think that sometimes the people who are able to do that to some extent, it is overwhelming, because you get overwhelmed by the details of things much more easily. For example, talked about earlier, the doom and gloom that's going on in the world in so many different ways. If you start reading into those things, it just becomes so visual to you that it's hard. It's super hard. And so you almost have to separate yourself sometimes, but at the same time, keep invested enough where you can be knowledgeable, but not invest so much that you become overwhelmed. And so it's a balance that is hard for a lot of people. And so whenever I look at the life in that way, it's like, I get it why some people completely check out and just are like, no, I can't. I also respect that if somebody says to me, hey, this is too much. Because I get it, because I visualize things in such a real way that I understand when it's too much for someone. But by understanding those things, it helps us to be better people, I think, in general, because it helps us to understand others, because we understand ourselves. So I think that that's just kind of the weird rabbit hole of strange things we can talk about tonight. Let's see. That is why I like story songs. Story songs are cool. They lead you down a path. They take you on an adventure. Sometimes that adventure's weird. Fun story. I sat and watched my television on like the karaoke channel with Ladybug out one day, and we were sitting here and we were just like watching the lyrics because we were baffled, because first and foremost I turned it on the wrong channel. We were just gonna have some like music playing so we could chat, and I turned it on something and we were both like, oh, there's karaoke lyrics, and we noticed the first song was weird, and we're reading the lyrics and we're like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Like, I never knew this song was bad. Like, I never knew. But once you can hear it and then also see it at the same time, the song takes on a totally different meaning. And at some point you're just like, what? So after that, we became fixated on just like watching some of these lyrics, and I was just like, I had no idea. Like, you can sing something and still not internalize what it actually is unless you listen and watch the lyrics, and then you're like, oh my gosh. So that's just kind of a funny one too. Let's see. Then there are those that hate for the story to end. I agree. And most of the time, whenever the story ends, it's like, okay, what happened? ... That's why I can't watch television shows that are episodic and that follow a storyline until I have full seasons, because I am like that if I am trying to watch a show and it stops and I'm just like, I cannot. So if it's something that has numerous seasons, I will let it build until there's at least enough where I feel like I can binge it and get a good idea as to what's happening. Grey's Anatomy is one of those for me. I thought Grey's Anatomy was over. So I was like, oh, I'm finally going to watch Grey's Anatomy. All these people have been telling me for years, I need to watch it. And I was like, absolutely not, because I know that I'm like this. I thought it had ended. I thought incorrectly. And I started watching, and I watched all the seasons. And then I realized there were more seasons to come. And I was like, no. So I have tortured myself now through all of this just to still not know what happened. Awesome. Same thing with Law and Order. I've watched every single Law and Order episode, all seasons, every one. At least with that one, even though the story is like a through plot, it gives you somewhat of a completion at the end of each one. So I justify that one as something that I can watch. But it's even hard for me to watch, like, for example, I really love The Masked Singer because I think it's just ridiculous because they're celebrities dressed in these giant costumes. Like, why not? But also there's some really great hidden talent. But one of the things that I have noticed is with that, I can watch it one episode at a time and wait, or I can let it stack up and then watch a bunch of them, because even though ultimately I want to know who The Masked Singer is, I know that it's going to take them like weeks to get there. So I can just be like, this is my casual listening hour. I'm just not going to invest too much. I'm just going to have to remember the clues. And that part is kind of hard, but it's fun still. Let's see. Only show I actually watch weekly was Game of Thrones. I have never watched Game of Thrones. Don't be mad. I'm going to watch Game of Thrones, but it's one of those that I have to binge through, and I just haven't had time. I literally don't watch much stuff right now, at all. I just am so busy all the time. Gilmore Girls! Oh my gosh, that was a cute one. I have watched all of that one. I've watched a lot of stuff, guys. Walking Dead, I watched kind of. So at one point in time, I had a friend who was obsessed with Walking Dead, and he was like on a week-to-week basis. And so I told him I'd never watch Walking Dead, and so he was like, we'll watch it from the beginning. And I was like, no, let me just watch like a part of this season to see if I even like it, because it's all zombies. So I was like, I don't see me being that interested that I need to watch it every week. And so I started watching it, and I kind of got into it, but at the same time, it was like one of those things that I could passively watch it, so I didn't have to feel invested. I think because I didn't start at the beginning, though. Let's see. That's the way you are with books? Yes. A lot of times with me, books are... This sounds weird. Books are hard, not because I have a hard time reading or anything, but because what happens to me is I have to finish it, and realistically, I just do not have time to sit and cover to cover a book every time I sit down, and I feel like I have to. So like more recently, I've been reading a lot of books that are either like educational books where I can learn about people in history, or I'll read something where it's chapters, that each chapter is its own story, so I can close it, and then it doesn't have to be a through story, because I enjoy reading. I just noticed that because I do so many things, I don't think that people realize how much that I actually do kind of behind the scenes. When I am at base camp, I sit here or over on the other side of the room for 8 to 10 hours a day, with breaks for coffee, water, and food, and that's about it, and I edit. Because I shoot so many videos. 5 videos a week is a lot of videos, so I am constantly just having these days where I'm sitting and working, or I'm over filming something because I need something to be filmed before I leave again. And so basically from the time that I come into my living room, kitchen area, anywhere between, usually it's like 8:30 in the morning, until midnight, I am going nonstop. And by the time that it gets to be that time, I'm just like, I'm unplugging, I'm done. It gives me a little bit more flexibility when I'm on the road though, and that's why I do it. But unfortunately what happens is because I do that, I get backed up. Like there's a couple channels of people that I enjoy watching that I'm so far behind, and they do serieses. And so I feel like I can't watch it until I watch the beginning of the series all the way through, so I can know what they're talking about. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just not going to be able to watch them for a while because I can't do this. And then they're on to the next series, and I'm like, now I'm way behind. So I just try not to overwhelm myself, but it just happens. Let's see. real oldies, black and white, sci-fi, Frankenstein, etc. I mean, I enjoy a good old movie here and there as well. I've watched a lot of movies. I am a movie junkie. I have a very large collection of DVDs, just because I like to keep some old school like stuff. I have a DVD player that I have in my van for when I don't have service. So I have probably 400 or 500 DVDs that I've watched every one of them at least 2 or 3 times. If it's a documentary, I've probably watched it. I love documentaries. I love documentaries for a different reason though than most people do. Let me crisscross applesauce real quick. My legs were getting tired of sitting in the straight position. Woo! Okay. No, I watch documentaries for a little bit of a different reason. I'm motivated and inspired by people in all walks of life. And every time I watch a documentary, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that I want to do. For example, I watched a Quincy Jones documentary talking about his life and his contributions to music. I clearly do not have those skills and talents. I would love to be more talented in the musical field, but I feel like that's something that would take me a long time to learn, to do anything near what he does. And I'm a person who, if I put my mind into something, I will do it, but I just don't have the time. So I am so motivated by the fact that he's such an inspiring man in his field. He's a leader, a thought provoker. He's a guy who's done so many things. He knows so many people. He's been so instrumental in civil rights work and things like that. So watching his movie, his documentary, I'm sure that he probably has done some not so great things too, but the documentary always shows the highlights of your life that are wonderful, and wow, I left that like, okay, I want to do something, and it obviously wasn't going to be music, but something. Greg, what's up, Greg? Greg's in the house. Let's see, let me catch up on a few things. I listen to most of my books when I drive, so when I drive, I listen to true crime podcasts. I really enjoy Kendall Rae. Kendall Rae is an excellent storyteller, and the way that she uses her words truly helps you to understand the scenario when you're just listening to it. I also like Bailey Sarian. I typically like to watch her because she does her makeup and she does amazing. But if I am not able to watch her, I'll listen to her. And again, it's how they speak, the cadence of their voice, how they describe things. I just feel like I understand the situation on such a deeper level. So I really enjoy both of those. So those are both really good. Occasionally I will listen to like a different podcast or something like that, but mostly if I'm driving, I'm either listening to a true crime podcast, I have just a random movie or TV show playing so I can hear the audio, because again, my mind does all the work, so I don't actually have to watch it, especially if I've already seen it, or I'll listen to music, depending on my mode of what's going on. Would you ever travel the world with van life, like tread the globe? I would totally like to go kind of all over. I don't think it's safe to go all over right now, and I'm not taking away from anything that anybody else does. I think that what they do is awesome. Right now the world's really weird. I would feel very uncomfortable going many places, and shipping my van is still something I do want to do, but I'm going to put it in a position where it's in a little bit different mode before I do that. I would definitely want to make sure that I have all my power situated where I wouldn't have to have any kind of dependency on plugging in ever. Right now, there are still days where if I go to Starbucks and work, I can take my power station in. If I were to do that in Europe, I wouldn't necessarily be able to drag my power station in and sit down in some random cafe in the countryside. That's not a reality, so I would need it to be sustainable without that. And so that is something that I'm still wanting to do, but I don't know that it's my journey yet. Let's see. Favorite is Casper the Ghost. Which Casper? There's several Caspers. If we're talking about Casper the Ghost, like Casper from Christina Ricci, that movie, that Disney movie, that one's really cute. That one was Devon Sawa. He was the one who everybody was like ooh and ah over when he turned into a real boy. Otherwise, cartoon Casper's pretty groovy. Love Boat and Fantasy Island. I have watched the Love Boat, and I believe I've watched a couple episodes of Fantasy Island. They have a new one that they came out with, and I just was like, absolutely not. I just don't think that that's... I think something should just be left alone. And I know that that's not popular for everyone. Some people are going to be like, no, they should totally remake everything. And I'm like, no, let good be good. My in-laws are flying to New Zealand for a month, leaving about 2 weeks. Then they are flying to Ireland. That's amazing. Both those places would be very cool. Oh my goodness. We're getting to the point where I am now getting tired. And again, I was going to edit, but I don't think I'm going to edit. I need to edit. I just don't know if it's going to actually happen. I think originals are great. I think that sometimes remixes, that's what we'll call them, is also good. But I think that too often we recycle plots and storylines and characters. And if the character was a beloved character in the first place, then there's no reason that we should ever try to one-up them with somebody new, because it's always going to be the character. Always. I'm not sure what's going on yet, Greg. I've got some things going that are gonna kind of depend on what happens. I've been working on some things, and I'm not sure if I'm making it to Arizona. We shall see. Let's see. Since starting to watch fan life on YouTube, I don't have time to watch TV. I don't have time to even watch YouTube. That's the sad thing, is like it just gets so chaotic. Like, I try to make it a point to, I know that like Dee puts out one video and Riley puts out one video and Brock puts out, I think, 3 videos. And then I have other people who put out sporadic videos. And it just, as you can see, it starts, because they're not on the same days. I'm like, I can dedicate this time to either catch up on all these people, or I can try to catch them for like 10 minutes here and go. And so that's about the extent of me viewing much. It's just not great. The other day I sat down and I went with my dad to watch Haunted Mansion at the movies, and it's the new one, and it's actually quite good. It's more themed to the ride. It's less like cutesy, and it's more like the ride. So I really liked that. But it's now out on Disney, and so I was like, I want to watch it again, because now that I've seen it, I always enjoy watching a movie a second time because I'll pick up on something I might have missed the first time. I turned it on. I sat on the couch. I was doing nothing. I have this thing that I do as I kind of wind my night down, and it's kind of a funny thing. I have 2 apps on my phone that I constantly use for this. The first one is this stupid paper doll game. It's absolutely mindless and stupid, and you just dress the doll in fashion. That's it. It doesn't take any brain cells to do it, and I enjoy it because it gives me the opportunity to have that creative flair in fashion that I used to have all the time on my regular self when I was my own paper doll. But I do that, and then I go over to this coloring book app that my dad got me stuck on, and it's just like you push the thing and then you color the page, and it's so therapeutic and it's so relaxing. So I was sitting on the couch just doing that, and the next thing I know, the movie's going off, and I'm like, where did my time go? What happened? That's pretty much everything that happens every time I try to watch something. It's like, whoosh, it's gone. What do I use to edit with? So I use Final Cut Pro. I prefer it to Premiere Pro, and there's a reason. Those are the 2 main softwares that people primarily use in the professional editing field. I used Final Cut whenever I worked for the Mavs on things, and I had become acclimated to it somewhat. Whenever I had my regular computer and I wasn't using the Mavs stuff anymore, I had iMovie, which is like the scaled back version of Final Cut. And so I self-taught myself how to use that afterwards. And it turned out okay, but I knew eventually that I needed something a little bit more enhanced so I could do more things. So I purchased Final Cut. The main reason I purchased Final Cut was because, 1, whenever you purchase it, you outright own it. It's not a subscription. I do not like subscriptions because if a subscription has an issue or something like that, then you lose access to your stuff. And I don't love that. You can buy an annual subscription or you can do it on month to month. I knew that doing it as an annual thing, I already have access to the Adobe Suite, so it's not like I can't use Premiere. I use Adobe Suite for other things that I use, though. I use it for my layouts, for my books and things like that. I use it for Photoshop so I can do my thumbnails, and then a variety of other like projects that I work on behind the scenes. So I do use the Adobe Suite. I just don't want Premiere Pro, even though I also have it. It just takes up a little bit more room on my computer also. That's another thing. But Final Cut's just a step up from what I was already using, so I just learned how to do the things that I do, and that's why I use Final Cut. In addition, I do use some other services. For example, my music. Music is a tricky thing because with music, copyright happens here on YouTube. So you either have to find copyright-free music, which I learned the hard way isn't always going to stay copyright-free music. I have a variety of different videos from my earliest days on my channel where I either had someone who created a song for me or who had things available as copyright-free, and then they've sold or they've signed. And if they sell or sign, the label then owns that, and then guess what? You can no longer have that video as a copyright-free video, even if you had a written agreement. So I just decided outright I was just going to pay for music, so I started using Epidemic Sound. Epidemic Sound is great because they have a variety of different kinds of music on there, and typically I can find things that I like. I'm also looking at potentially adding Artlist. I don't know, though. I don't want to pay for another subscription. I also use Motion Array. Motion Array I use for a variety of different projects that mostly you guys don't see, but every so often you'll see something from Motion Array here on the channel. It makes it so much easier for me to do certain kinds of projects though. So I have that, and that also has access to music and effects and texts and things like that. So those are the services that I use. Let's see. Yeah, not a lot of stuff is getting made with the strike going on, so I've just kind of adapted, adjusted, and moved forward to understanding that I'm probably just going to be waiting for a while for my van. Kind of funny, I went to the first RTR last year. I did not enjoy it. Just too people-y. I was going to ask why you didn't enjoy it, but that totally makes sense. There are a lot of people there, and it can get very overwhelming, so I totally get that. I think that the information that they have there is super good, especially for people starting out. After you've been on the road a little bit longer, most of that stuff is stuff that you're already doing. So, like, when I went, I was like, okay, most of this stuff is stuff that I already kind of do, so I didn't know if there would be more, like, advanced stuff. There's just not. After you get to a certain level, you're just kind of in it. It is what it is. After you've been there, you're like, oh, okay, I know how I'm doing my solar or not doing solar. I know how I have power. I know how to have a restroom. I know how to keep food, all of those things. And a lot of those topics are things that they do cover there. But I think that the nice thing about the RTR and WRTR is the community, especially for people who are starting out. You get to meet all sorts of other people who might be also starting out, and then you can kind of find your people, and that's kind of neat. I like that. Let's see. Oh no, oh no. It's just doing this on me. It's like, oh no. Let's see. Oh, Bunny, we have chatted before. Oh, okay, cool. You changed your name. Sweet. Very cool. Let's see. Thank you for these years. Oh, no problem. We're hoping that we have many, many more. Every day that we wake up is a blessing, right? Hi from Palm Springs. Hello. To match my Twitch name, that totally makes sense. I always tell people, if you have one name, just stick with it. All the way across the board. It makes finding you easier. It makes, like, if you decide to do more stuff, it makes it easier that you already have that, and so you have a built-in, this is me everywhere. So then you don't have to go get other things. It just makes sense. I can't talk now. Another YouTube creator said that there are many things to learn. He was fined a lot of money for posting a video in State Park. Yeah, different places are different, and that's the wild thing. You really have to read where you're going, what you're doing. A lot of people just think, oh, I can casually film whatever I want. No, you can't. I mean, that's just what we like to think too. The minute that you put it on YouTube, it becomes an entity and a business, and so you do have to think about it from the perspective of, hey, do they allow this? Do they consider this commercial? What do they consider this to be? Do I need a permit? And so a lot of places are real chill. A lot of them are. But there are some of them that are very weird and very specific. And like, for example, droning. Droning is not allowed everywhere. I have a really nice drone. In fact, I have another little drone that I'm going to be showing you guys pretty soon that I'm trying out. Oh, I just got attacked by the fly. Wow, it hit me in the eyeball. That was not pleasant. If I keel over dead, you'll know why. It was one of those wormy flies. But, no, so the drone laws are different based on what size drone you have, also where you're flying it. And so there are some places that you can fly your drone freely, no problem. If you have the tiny one. The tiny one is under the register size. It's considered a hobby drone. And so you don't have to register it, and therefore you don't have to have a license to fly it. Then you get like 1 gram up and you're suddenly in a whole different territory where now you're considered commercial. You have to have a license. You have to do all these things. You have to register it. So there's a lot of different things that go into just something as easy as a drone. So I have the smallest drone that I don't have to register, which is very nice. I also don't fly my drone a lot because if it even has the inkling of I'm not supposed to be there, I'm not going to put that thing up. I'm not trying to make somebody upset. I'm not trying to annoy people. I'm not trying to get a fine. I'm not trying to lose like my life over a drone. So there are other ways that you can achieve similar effects without the drone. And so that's kind of why I've been trying out this guy. This guy will allow me to do overhead shots that look drone-like without having to have the drone, so to speak. At the same time, I did see something kind of daunting that someone reported where they were using their 360 camera to create drone effects, and somebody like got upset at a state park and was like, you can't have a drone. And they're like, no, we don't own a drone. We have a 360 camera. And they were like, you can't fly a drone here. And they're like, we don't. We have a 360 camera. It just goes up on a pole and then it makes it look like you're above. So I think that there's even like some weird stuff in between the weird stuff that's weird. You've been on the road for 4 years. Nice. So you're a pro. Let's see. I enjoy your travels as well. I love your tiny home. Thank you so much. I started on a 24-foot Class C and then went down to an MV200. Way better gas mileage. Yes, so much better gas mileage. The thing about it is, and a lot of people who I meet who are very, very weird about me having the tiny van, and I say weird because they like look at you like, oh my gosh, how can you live in that? And I'm just like, dude, like, you don't understand. My goal is not to be in the van all the time. My goal is to be outside the van. So I don't need as much space. And as long as I have the things that I need when I'm in the van, like, who cares? Like, I'm not needing to impress anyone based on the size of my rig. I don't have anything to prove in that capacity. Like, I know what I do. I'm fine with that. I also understand there's some people who need space, and that's why they need a bigger rig. Like, they legitimately need space. Like, for example, our friends Sarah and Aaron, they have a larger RV. Sarah works from the road. She has to have a professional work environment, which is an office space. So it makes sense for them to have a bigger space. There's also 2 of them and a cat. I'm one person and no animals, so I don't need as much room. So I think that that's the thing, is once you start looking at like your life, what your expectations are, what your needs are, sometimes you can say, hey, you know, I don't really need this, but I might need this. So for me, it's not a deal breaker to be able to stand or not stand. For my parents, it was a deal breaker. They need to be able to stand. There's 2 of them again. They needed more space. So they found something that worked accordingly for them. Now with that comes a trade-off. They are a diesel. Diesel's pretty expensive. They're also a bigger rig. Although, I have a cool update for you guys coming pretty soon about that. So, so that'll be kind of fun. But yeah, I think that ultimately, if we're happy in our space, who cares if somebody looks at us like, okay, that's weird. As long as, again, it's not harming anybody, it's not breaking any rules, it's fine. Let's see. Exactly, if they don't like the van, don't look at it. I agree. I kind of have that mentality about a lot of things, though. If somebody doesn't like something, I'm not going to modify or change who I am or what I do just because somebody didn't like it. They have the right to click away. They have the right to go watch another video on somebody else's channel. Constructive criticism is one thing. Rudeness is another. You don't do too well whenever you're rude with me because I'm not going to modify. I'm not going to change. And ultimately, if somebody gets so upset about something, that I'm just going to end up laughing about it because it doesn't bother me the way it bothers you. I think that we all live in our own little mind prisons. My prison is pretty well open. Like, it's not that bad. Have I gotten the back door fixed? No. Parts are still on back order. They're going to be on back order for a long time. I'm just adjusting. It's fine. I just don't use the back doors very often. If I do use them, I try to make sure it's while I'm here at base camp. Otherwise, nope. How's my parents' van coming along? You're about to find out. So I have a video scheduled already for you guys. Let's see. Today is the what? Today, ooh, I'm on the wrong month. That explains a lot. So today is Saturday, the 21st. So I'm going to have 2 more videos, and you guys will see an update on Dad's van. I've already filmed it, edited it, shot it, done all the things. It's already scheduled. It'll be out on the 25th. That way you guys can see. But after that is when the real fun comes, because I kind of said at the beginning of this that I've already been back from Colorado and gone somewhere else and come back, and I'm about to leave again because my videos are on a slight delay, so that it causes confusion and chaos. So nobody knows where I am, so I can't have someone unalive me on the road. So after that video, you will see a very exciting series of videos where I may or may not be in my dad's van. I'm so excited about this. I don't tell anybody else. They needed to be here to know that. But, of course, they'll probably watch it in replay and be like, oh, okay. If they make it to minute 134 to find that out, good for them. But, yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be super fun, especially because I get to reveal some super neat things to you guys. Let's see. My friend just bought a Unity leisure van. Lovely, but big money. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. Some people need larger vehicles. Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's just about preference and need and want. And this whole thing has been sitting here this time. I'm sorry you guys had to look at that text the entire time. That's really big. I should move it, but I don't really have another place to. Oh, we can put it over here. But yeah, I think it's just finding what works best for people. That's at the end of the day. They're going to have to live in it. I mean, if somebody wants to live in, and I'm just going to say this because I'm just using a random made-up scenario. If someone wants to live in the Dumb and Dumber Mutt Cuts vehicle, except for their version, because obviously you can't live in that one because that one's in Branson, Missouri. But if you want to live in a carpet car, I don't care. It's going to smell a little bit, but I don't care. That's on you. If you want to smell like wet dog, that is fine. That is on you. Because that's what you want. Like, at the end of the day, if I want to paint polka dots on my van, that's up to me. It's not necessarily what I'm going to do. But, like, look at Dee. Dee does have polka dots on her van. It totally makes sense. But I think that every person has the right to do what they want to with their vehicle. And I think that videos on the internet are helpful because they allow us to see a glimpse into someone else's life and also to feel empowered to do some of those things. But you have to make it your own at the end of the day. So even if you have a similar layout, you can do the finishing touches that make it feel more like you. Like, put up a piece of art on your wall, or make your bedding look a certain way that you want it to look. Or if you like to craft, have a craft drawer. Like, do things that make you happy in your space, whether it's big or small. Let's see, what else we got? I do like how you went ahead and traveled. Yes, I think that the thing is I wanted to make sure it was safe, and that's why I didn't travel for a while, because I needed to make sure it was going to be safe. I didn't want my doors flying open, because there are some horror stories on the internet about this particular style of van and having one of those accidents and then having their doors fly open. The last thing that I need in my life is to have my entire existence flying down the freeway, hitting people, and then me being responsible for their cars. That part specifically. Like, I can replace things, but I can't replace a person if they get harmed. I can't replace all the damage that's done to their vehicle without it costing me an arm and a leg. So I would just prefer to not out there just flailing away my stuff because my doors weren't safe. So after I figured out that it would be safe as long as I'm not using them regularly, I was just like, okay, I can do this now. I feel comfortable doing this now. Let's see. Exactly if they don't pay your bills. Yeah, kind of. How did you come up with my channel name? My nickname is Bunny. It's always been Bunny. I was a mascot in school, and we were the rabbits, so I was a bunny. And people just kind of called me that, and it stuck. And so I decided, instead of it being a weird thing, because Bunny can go a lot of different ways, that I would instead empower myself to turn it into something positive. And I thought Plays Here was good because I literally go and I play in my environment. I have a good time. Again, I'm very childlike when it comes to my environment and just enjoying things. And then here, meaning wherever I am at that moment. So that's it. Looks like I came in just at the right time for the secret info. Shh, don't tell. How do I like the new layout? I really like it. It's very comfortable. I really like having the seating space there so that I can actually sit in the van and have someone else sit in the van too. It is a little bit complicated though still, because for me to be able to take like my scooter with me, I have to put it in the passenger seat area. And ideally that would be a seat area that I could open up, but I cannot put the scooter on the roof. And I do not want the scooter outside of the van because, one, that allows people to see, hey, I have a scooter. And then they might want to steal a scooter. But they might not stop at the scooter. They might try to break in and do something else too, because people are weird when they see outside things. So the less things on the outside that you have to like make it obvious that you're in there. I'm not necessarily a person who's like, oh my gosh, I'm so stealthy, because I'm not stealthy. I have a roof box, and yeah, I just don't look very stealthy. But having it all out there like, hey, here's my stuff, just take it off the back while I'm in here sleeping. No, I'm not going to do that. So in a perfect world, if I'm not traveling with the scooter, I have that big open space. I love that. In execution, though, if I travel with the scooter, I do not have that space. And so I'm trying to figure that all out. Yeah. Let's see. I want to live in a magical mystery bus. I mean, why not? There's so many. If you go to Schoolypalooza, you'll find a lot of them. Yes, I have seen some scary stories online, especially solo female travelers. I want a Ford Transit Connect. They're so cute. So as for the solo female traveler part, I have encountered a couple of weird things. I've been pretty fortunate. I think a lot of it has to do with, one, what kind of position you put yourself in. I'm not saying that every position can be clarified just by changing your actions. Sometimes it's based on environment and people around you. So I always stick by the trust your gut thought process. Always. If there's even a moment where you're just like, I don't know, just go. I don't know means just go, okay? So in those cases, it is not worth it. If you have even the slightest inkling of something has gone awry or might go awry, just move on. Move to a place that you don't get that feeling. Your body tells you things if you listen, and you have to listen when you're traveling. You can't just float through life like, oh, I'm fine, everything is cool, everything is fine. You have to actually pay attention. And that doesn't mean that you have to be worried all the time, because I think a lot of people translate that into, oh, so you just are all the time stressed out and worried. No. I just look around my environment. I do a once over. If I go to a campsite, I see if there's anything weird. And by weird, it could be a variety of different things. For example, I have pulled into places that are campsites that I have found drug paraphernalia. That's a no. We're not staying there. If the world shows you there were drugs being used there, specifically discarded needles, get out of there. That is not a traveler who's coming through there doing that. That is a local. That is a local spot where they're going there to do the drugs. You leave, okay? If you go to a place and you hear weird sounds in the bushes, and you're there by yourself, and maybe your camp kitchen is outside, and you don't feel safe, go somewhere else. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science. And sometimes, yes, it is very frustrating, because you might have that like pop-up feeling like, I was so comfortable, and then this weird thing that really was unsettling happened, and I don't want to move. It's too late. Just move. It'll make you feel better, because what you're going to do is you're going to build it up to be something much worse than it possibly is, more than likely, if you sit and dwell on it. But if you are right and you have put yourself in a position to just be there, then you've put yourself in harm's way at that point. You are the power behind the driving force of you being in your vehicle and traveling. So at the end of the day, if you meet somebody who's creepy and you don't feel comfortable, if you go someplace and it doesn't make you feel comfortable, it is your responsibility as the person traveling to say, hey, I'm not okay with these things. I need to go. I've had to leave some campsites before, and, you know, maybe or maybe not, something could have happened. I don't know. I won't know, because I am safe sitting here in my house today. And I might not have been if I hadn't listened to my gut. I had one specific incident that I've talked about several times here on the channel, but I'll kind of go over it again. I was in Tennessee. I had pulled into a state park, and it was kind of toward the end of their camping season, so there was no one on the camping loop. There was someone over in the horse camp area, but not on the camping loop. And I went over there and I found a spot, because at the front desk, because it's kind of an off season, it tells you if you pull in after a certain time, find your spot and then pay in the morning. So I pulled into the campsite, and I always do some specific things. I always look around my environment. I kind of get a feel for the area, and I then set up my space. At this time, I was still tent camping. This is how I developed this. So I had kind of noticed that there was a vehicle over by the bathhouse. I saw no units in the circle. I saw no tents in the circle. There were no campers. So I'd already kind of gone through and found this out. And so I thought it was kind of weird that somebody was just hanging out of the bathroom. And then I thought, well, maybe they're having an issue over at the other bathroom. All these scenarios went through my head. And so I just gave it the benefit of the doubt. And then after that, I decided, okay, I'm going to sit there and just like kind of start to slowly get my things together. And as I did, the vehicle from the bathroom pulled over to where I was, and they decided to speak to me. And they didn't speak to me in a way that I felt comfortable. And just to kind of give you an idea, if you are looking at this is me standing here, and they're talking to me. But instead of talking to me, they're kind of looking around me at the contents of my car. Clearly, that was not cool. So I already had the heebie-jeebies, and then they're kind of like looking to see what's going on. And I'm thinking, okay, number one, are they checking to see if there's another person? Number two, because I have an overactive imagination who's going to go through all these scenarios very rapidly. Number two, if they aren't looking for another person, why are they casing the joint, so to speak, looking to see what I got? Like, why? That's weird. And then the man said something so creepy that it just made me go, oh no, we are leaving. We meaning me. He said, I'm a local. I just drive through here a few times. Check on the place. No, sir, you do not. You do not check on this. If I'm sleeping in a tent with a tiny, thin thing. No, I'm leaving. And it was late in the day, and I was tired, and I had been driving all day, and I was so over it. But you know what I did? I got in my car, and I left. I used some lame excuse with my weather radio going off. I basically triggered it so it'd go off and said, oh, it looks like we're going to have a storm. I need to go meet my friends. Always say friends. I know it sounds silly, but create a fictitious friend if you have to in that moment to get away from the dangerous situation. So that person knows somebody else is going to be holding you accountable and knows that you are there. And number two, that there is someone who is expecting you at some point, because that makes it harder for them to be like, ooh, I'm going to go snatch you. Now, I am a curvy queen now. At the time, I was a curvy queen, but much thinner. And I was, in my opinion, in a much more desirable. Okay, I think we're back. That was weird. My whole thing just glitched for a second. Wow. Anyway, point being, I was much more snatchable at that point. Somebody could have scooped me up and just whoop. But no, we're not doing that. So what did I do? I left. You should always leave. If you ever feel uncomfortable, leave. Make up whatever weird story you have to get out of Dodge immediately. So as for solo female travelers, it is our responsibility to trust our gut, but it's also our responsibility to really try to still not let our own fears that we make up in our minds stop us from doing things. because the world around us is always going to have something scary or some scary story. But that doesn't necessarily mean that every situation is as scary as the world wants it to be for us. I think a lot of times, some of the things that we get told are simply because people don't want us to. Does that make sense? Yeah. Anyway, I think my connection is having some struggle buses, so I'm going to wrap it up. We've been on here for 147 minutes, and you guys got a couple little sneak peeks. And I'm going to go with this. Be smart, not scared. Yes. Always smart, not scared. Anyway, guys, remember, we're not here for a long time. We are here for a good time. I had so much fun tonight. I'll try to get back on here and do another chat sooner rather than later. I'm sorry it took me so long to do this one, but I had fun tonight. So thank you guys for coming, and for all of those who have stuck it out from the beginning.